The story begins in 2032 at the National Academy known as Valkyrie. Someone asks if the first-year students are ready for the challenges that await them and straight up says that the class exam is already starting, bro. The first test was the elimination of goblins, and the group is already moving forward, and bro, this exam is the fairest of them all. The test is held nationwide, and it's the viewers who vote for who is the coolest. Everything's cool, everyone praises them, saying that as always, the Valkyrie recruits are the toughest. Meanwhile, the director tells them to do their best. This was their chance to change their future at the academy. Back in the forest, there are some goblins there, and when the guy arrives and hits them right in the face, the viewers notice what seemed to be a wind relic, and another tough girl passes by, slicing through. There's a guy at the top of the chat, like me, celebrating a cute warrior. Wow! Here comes another one, with a big axe and a dahlia on her head, blowing things up, bro. Everyone watching the stream is praising them, saying that the level is high, even for Valkyrie. Obviously in this place, right, bro? Man, hunger, and strength decide everything, even among the students. The lingering question, however, is what happens to the weak in an environment like this? 2 first-year students are all beaten up there when a loud noise comes from behind. The people tell the drone to get closer to see what's happening. And there's a guy in yellow heading towards a goblin. Look at this bastard's outfit. Boy, you better be careful. They're going to hit you with a copyright claim, bro. Then they're going to take down your story, and you'll be complaining, and obviously, the damn guy doesn't even know how to complete the cosplay, bro. And with that hair on his head, of course, he took a direct hit from the goblin and ended up on the ground. The chat says, this is one of the weakest creatures. There's no way a newbie would be beaten by something like that. The boy is about to grab the wooden stick on the ground, but at that moment, he is strangely electrocuted, and a message on his hand says he can't equip that item. That's because it wasn't allowed to use any item while he was wearing the beginner's suit. The goblin gets closer and hits him once again. What is this, man? The poor guy just got hit and is already lying on the ground in shame. The people in the chat say it's better to give up, but they are impressed that he at least got up one more time. Suddenly, he says to equip armor, bro, and completely naked, he even goes after the goblin. The people in the chat complain, saying they don't pay taxes to Valkyrie to train a lunatic like that, and with this humiliation for the whole country, bro, the academy ranked him as the worst student. The poor guy had 0 relic stars and was E-class, last in the ranking. Obviously, in this world, guess what, guys? There's an ongoing interdimensional war where monsters from other places are invading without any warning. In a short time, humanity was on the brink of collapse. Most human weapons were useless, and all that was left for humanity was despair. What seems to be our young boy, bro, is standing there when a red dragon appears in front of him and breathes fire at him, bro. However, it was in those desperate moments that the first signs of hope began to emerge. The items known as relics, something that was created when certain individuals, they came into contact with materials from the other world, manifesting in physical form as a kind of soul fragment. Our protagonist's father was a hero who protected people with his shield relic, but something changed that day. Taking the dragon's flame, the father calls Hinata, tells him to take Shizuku and run. He had to become strong and protect everyone. Oh, bro, this wasn't even cliche, was it, guys? At least our boy wasn't one to hesitate, man. To hell with the father, he grabbed his sister's little hand, and let's go, my girl. Let that fool die there. But from that day on, he decided to push himself and trained relentlessly as if his life depended on it. Yeah, I mean, considering there are monsters in the world, it's good to get strong, otherwise you really die, bro. His life depended on it. He got all his motivation from his father's words, and it's already been 6 months since he entered the strongest and most prestigious training academy. But he only recently discovered something. A guy named Kuramura, the redhead, asks Hinata if maybe it's time to give up, bro. Our boy is already a mess on the floor. And the guy offers to pour a little milk on him? Yeah, he poured a little milk on him there. Weird, right? Our boy gets up with his head looking like an actress from a slightly spicier series. Then the guy pats him on the back and puts a sign on it that says, "Here comes the hero." Our boy, man, doesn't say a thing, son. He just walks down the hall like a total idiot, but up ahead, oh, look who's coming. Man, the thick-thighed girl with the blue hair. She gives him a look and walks right past, cold as ice, son. Hey, isn't that the sister he saved? Damn, brat. Just because you're all tough now, you're gonna ignore my boy? Her name is Shizuku Minase. And they've been childhood friends for a long time, because on the same day he lost his father, she lost someone too. Since then, they've always supported each other no matter what, but everything changed when he entered the academy. Bro, she became one of the most powerful students with a powerful relic, and the Walmart Saitama is obviously considered a total failure who has nothing but that cartoonish suit, to be honest. He's already kind of used to everyone's judgmental stares, but when he opens the door, a shoe flies at his head. Hey, Kuromura asks what took him so long, while the nerd next to him asks him not to throw his shoe like that, and our boy looks to the side, bro. Oh, there are only thick-thighed girls in this school. What is this, bro? Oh, for God's sake, we're in Class E, guys. They're just the weaklings without relics. I thought that Kuromura guy was a badass, but he's also completely talentless. At least there are some cute girls in the class. And our boy says that not even the teachers care about this class. Hey, right, bro? It's the trash of the trash. Then Kurimura comes over and asks where he's looking. Bro, it'd be nice not to ignore him when he's talking. He also activates his Walmart relic, we already know it's E rank, and punches our boy in the stomach. Obviously, the school rules forbid using relics in the classroom. But nobody cares about that class, bro. And the bastard still asks if our boy keeps doing everything he does just to provoke him. He had to learn quickly to show respect and make sure not to make him angry. And Hinata just wonders why he's not only in the worst class, but is the worst of the worst. And obviously that's why the last 6 months have been anything but easy. So the guy with glasses tells Kuromura to calm down or he's going to end up crushing the yakisoba hot dogs that Hinata brought. Seeing the things on the floor, he says he forgot to thank him and stomps on his ribs. The two girls in the corner, one says Kuromura bothers Hinata so much, and the other replies that it's Hinata's fault that Kuromura is in the class. Apparently, there was some kind of power demonstration test between people, and Hinata ended up facing that guy, but he didn't give up no matter what, which affected Kuromura's evaluation. The pink-haired one is impressed, saying that at least when it comes to taking hits, he can endure them. The other one says she agrees, but he still shouldn't accept taking so many hits from Kuromura. That's not going to help him at all. The guy grabs him by the neck, lifts him up, and asks if he understands how pathetic he is. But then a strange system window appears, showing 9,990 out of 10,000, and Hinata smiles. Which obviously infuriates Kuromura even more, and he lands another punch on his face. The window goes up to 9,991 out of 10,000. He keeps taking hits, and the points keep going up. Then, while being attacked in the middle of the desks, Kuromura asks why he's smiling so much. And to try to provoke him, he says that since his relic is useless, his parents probably were too... Obviously that hits a nerve, and Kuromura tells him not to stress, bro, that he should bring his family next time so he can beat them all up too. What the heck, bro? Wanting to beat up the guy's family out of nowhere. And so Hinata's fist is clenched, and the guy tells him to come at him, but he thought it would be difficult, especially since he's sure the kid can't even get up out of fear. The guy with glasses tries to ask him to calm down, but bro, he gets grabbed by the neck too. And Kuromura asks if he wants to trade places with this failure. Obviously, he just says no, that he didn't care about that trash either. Kuromura says that he doesn't believe him now. He'll have to see him smash his face in to be sure. Bro, the guy grabbed a chair and smashed it right in the middle of his head. What the heck, bro? That really made the guy hate him, at least the little system. Finally reached 10,000 out of 10,000. Bro, Kuromura turns around saying to just grab that disgusting yakisoba and leave. Our boy is there, dazed, bleeding like an idiot, even after training all these years, focusing on body and mind. Nothing changed, but at that moment, the little window appears, the condition is complete, received 10,000 damage, and now he could evolve his beginner suit into the indomitable suit. The guy cracks a small smile, a laugh, thinking that if the results haven't shown up yet, all he has to do is keep trying harder. After all, giving up doesn't exist in his dictionary. Then he says that there's a certain secret about that suit. It was 6 months ago. Only after the exam did he begin to figure it out. In front of one of the academy's training portals, He remembers what happened. After going through hell on the exam and being ranked as trash, he knew that at this rate, he'd either get expelled from the academy or he'd never be good enough. Unfortunately, that's just how things work because the whole place is funded by taxpayers, bro, which is why underperformers are simply cut. He absolutely can't afford another academy as good as this one, but the problem is that to stay here, he has to get stronger. He clenches his fists, swearing he'll give it his all and make it happen, because he knows that relics can be upgraded. A simple example is a sword relic. The more you cut with it, the more its stats evolve. The problem is that he knows nothing about the relic he uses. That tight suit must have some special ability, because if it doesn't, he doesn't even want to think about it, bro. He just has to focus on what he can do to change his life. But there he is on the ground again, down like an idiot, saying that now he's screwed, because at this rate, he could end up dying right there, but he calms down and tells himself to remember that for the longest time, an attack like that would have killed any human. One thing he doesn't get is why his relic doesn't have any weapon. Maybe he just has to punch the enemy with that damn suit. Another option was to take off the suit and grab a normal weapon, but that wouldn't make any sense either, because he'd lose the only relic he has. Suddenly, he remembers that time he grabbed the weapon and got zapped. Just then, he rushes the goblin that's about to attack, but bro, he manages to defend himself, even pulling a jujitsu move. He throws the club to the ground, and the system says he can't equip that item. At that very moment, the shock activates and gets transmitted to the goblin, which gets electrocuted and drops dead on the spot. The bastard grins, saying he's finally killed his first one. The only problem is that it took forever and he won't be able to use that trick again, not to mention it was a huge effort and all he got was a tiny mana stone. Suddenly, the item vanishes from his hand out of nowhere, and before he can even notice what happened, a message pops up, saying he absorbed a mana shard for the first time, and that his indomitable spirit triggered a reaction in the suit. On top of that, he gained an expanded system screen, some added features, and the upgrade condition changed to 0 out of 10,000. Obviously, he has no idea what's going on. Ever since he's been deliberately taking as much damage as possible to raise the counter, and now, there he is in his dorm room, saying he finally did it. He took the required 10,000 points of pain and the suit was about to evolve. Bro, it must be great to have a punching bag with some gym weights right next to it. The moment you get angry, you just have to let one fly. And he's wondering how to activate the effect of those 10,000 points. Right, how does the suit upgrade? The system says he just has to shout upgrade and instantly the evolution begins. A golden glow surrounds his body, and guys, he lost the Saitama suit. Now he really looks like a bee. This is straight out of B-movie. Wow, what an old film. Looking at himself in the mirror, he says it's a subtle change. However, it's the first time he's heard of a relic that evolves through a quest like that. And he's excited to see what skills came with it. Suddenly, for the first time, he can see his own status window. And the relic's information shows this was an item that provided powerful protection as well as the blessing of growth. He's not sure what that means, but at least he should be tougher. Looking at the clock, he sees the portals must still be open. Maybe he should go there to test this thing out. In the moonlight, a goblin stands still as Shizuku passes and cuts it down, but the humble Minetsu says that this damn place isn't even good for getting rewards anymore. And then they hear a footstep to the side and see the guy pass by. Bro. The ditzy-looking blonde girl asks, "What was that?" And she answers that it was nothing, but right away her friend notices him and says she remembers him. He's the funny guy who caused a disaster during the first few days. Shizuku walks away saying that guy should just give up on the academy and get into comedy. Her friend finds it weird and asks why she's so mad. She says it's nothing and tells them to get back to training quick. But bro, she walks away talking to herself, saying she thought she could count on him, but he just keeps disappointing her. Meanwhile, the blonde girl wonders why the girl hates the poor guy so much. Since our boy's copyright suit is unforgettable, bro, she's already wondering if it doesn't look like he has changed. And now there he is again, face to face with another goblin. Holy cow, the goblin comes at him with a lunge. Instead of dodging, he decides to test it and blocks with both arms, right bro? At least he's gained some confidence, because it looks like that suit didn't take any damage. He lands a punch on the goblin's chin, but the guy's strength is still no big deal, right, bro? The monster just grabs his head and slams the back of it into the ground. What the hell, little Kiko? And the monster? This monster is already giving him a beating. At least with that suit, he's not dying, right, Mom? What a humiliation, bro. Life is tough for the kid. In a few seconds, he's surrounded by goblins on all sides. He wonders when all those guys showed up and immediately tries to escape, but takes a direct hit to the back, bro. Wow! His vision is turning black, and he's just begging for someone to help him. Then he remembers someone told him that he must remember he can't always protect others. When everything starts to fall apart, he could only count on himself, and that's why he had to get stronger and become a hero who could be there for people when they needed him most. Bro, he got motivated, but immediately took another blow to the neck. Wait, hang on. Our boy bro now grabs the monster's weapon, but as always, the system says he can't equip it. Damn it, I thought it was about to be epic, but nothing happened. He just got zapped again for trying, and the monsters knocked him down. So now the desperate guy runs away, wondering what he can do to get out of this. That's when the system says that his indomitable spirit triggered a reaction in his suit and that he had acquired the skill Vengeance. There he goes, motivated again, but I don't have any faith in this kid anymore. Every time he makes that face like he's about to do something, he just ends up getting beaten up like an idiot. Then the system says that to activate Vengeance, he had to shout the skill's name. It stored all the damage he received and converted it into energy, which was released for 10 seconds, but unfortunately it could only be used once a day. Damn it! Bro, the cooldown for that skill is really long. Seeing all the goblins running towards him, he's sure this is the perfect time to test it out. He shouts, "Vengeance!" The gauntlet activates. He runs forward and lands a direct hit on the first goblin's stomach. Bro, they go flying like bowling pins, one hitting the other. He charges forward, hitting another one on the chin, another in the chest, one in the face, smashing another one against a tree. Bro, he finally killed something and collapsed from exhaustion. He realizes he now has a card up his sleeve for dangerous moments. The problem, obviously, is that he can only use it once every 24 hours, not to mention that farming with it would constantly put him at risk. So he can't keep putting himself in situations like that. Besides, he still doesn't quite get how that suit works. It's not like he gained more stats or got stronger, he just got new skills. Then he sees the mana stone that dropped from one of the goblins. He picks it up and it's absorbed instantly, and new features are unlocked right away. Wow! What is this? Bro, he got a bunch of skills out of nowhere. He gained agility, compatibility with knockdown type weapons, right? Stun weapons, sword, reinforcement, durability. Seriously, the kid suddenly got everything, and now he's unstoppable. A week later, a goblin is walking through the forest, and he appears from behind and lands a clean hit with Vengeance, crushing its skull. Just when I said I didn't trust this bastard anymore, he gets strong, damn brat. That was the first job goblin he killed, and with that new mana stone, new talents were upgraded. He could now use some weapons and felt confident enough to risk facing someone stronger, since he unlocked that new list. His relic has been going through several transformations. The upgrade list shows what's required to unlock each of the skills. For example, to unlock the one called Aerial Actor, he had to kill 10 goblins, kill another job goblin, and on top of that, wear the suit for 1 hour. So basically, when I said it had been unlocked, that wasn't really the case. What was unlocked was the mission to unlock it. You get it? That's it. And it seems he now has an impact resistance skill too, which is pretty obvious what it does. He's already noticed that this is the format for evolving the suit, but the problem is that a mission isn't always available. He has to figure out what triggers these changes. Sitting under the tree, he starts to remember everything that happened until he remembers a window that said he absorbed a mana stone for the first time and that the indomitable spirit caused a reaction with his suit. The problem is that this indomitable spirit thing is something with, maybe it has to do with his mentality, or maybe it's just related to the emotions he's feeling at that moment. The problem is that both options are kind of abstract, right? There's no clear way to know what to do. Sometime later, there he is at the hospital, right, bro? What are the odds of a manga protagonist not having a mom in the hospital? Damn, it's like the Japanese isekai cliche. He asks Hikari if she should be moving around like that, and she says she's feeling better today, she's gathering her energy, and will be out of there soon. Oh, now I get it. That's not his mother, right? The mother is the one in that little bed. He asked how she was, and Hikari said yes, that she's the same as always, asleep. It seems an incident happened 10 years ago. Since then, his mother has been unconscious and hasn't woken up, a phenomenon known as crystallization. As soon as the monster species started appearing, this illness came with them and a cure has yet to be found. Hikari is apparently the younger sister, who is also exposed to the poison. But she seems to be recovering. At the rate things are going, in a year at most, she'll be able to leave that place. But just as he starts thinking about the only real problem, someone suddenly appears at the door. All cheerful, Hikari greets Kagura, who greets them both, saying that she looks much better today. Carrying a bunch of fruit, he says he couldn't come to a place like this empty-handed. Then, with a hand on our boy's shoulder, he says he arrived at the perfect time. There's something he needs to talk to him about. Oh, brother. From the way he leans in to whisper, you can already tell he's not a good guy. Then, grabbing a can of coffee, he asks if it isn't time for Hinata to give him an answer. Hinata, this guy, Jinji Kagura, is the leader of the Phoenix Guild. He turns to our boy and tells him that if he wants to take care of his sick mother and his sister, who is also battling the same illness, he's going to need a lot of money. Apparently, this guy ran the same guild Hinata's father was part of, and he asks our boy if he doesn't want to find a cure for his mother. Hinata just thinks that this bastard keeps pretending to be a good guy, as if he were going to do something noble, but what he's asking is disgusting. It seems that the crystals formed in patients due to crystallization have properties similar to mana stones. The mana stones are currently humanity's main source of energy, and it seems there's ongoing research using people exposed to that disease to create a kind of energy-producing zombie. Here, bro, basically what this guy is asking for is authorization to use his mother as an experiment, under the excuse that they're looking for a cure for the disease, and Hinata simply says, that's a shame. But his answer is still no. Kagura puts a hand to his face and warns him that he knows the boy must be running out of money. There's no way his father left that much. His mother's and sister's hospital bills are probably piling up. How is he going to take care of both of them at this rate? He tells Hinata, to be honest, with the low-level relic he has, he'll never be able to earn enough to cover his family's expenses. But Hinata just replies that he doesn't care, the answer was going to be the same, he would keep looking for a way to protect his family no matter what, because that was the last promise he made to his father, and he warns him once more not to mention any of this to Hikari. Kagura says that's fine, that he's not trying to make Hikari hate him, but if the boy changes his mind at some point, he just has to send a message to the same number. With that, he leaves. While our boy is left there, wanting to kill the bastard, protecting his family has been completely his responsibility since his father passed away. Upon entering the room, Hikari asks what the conversation was about, and he says it's a secret and there is Hinata, brother, eager to join a strong guild. To start making real money, he needed to become stronger. In fact, much stronger than he is now. Already leaving the hospital, she checks her phone and sees that there is still time to enter a dungeon. She decides not to rest today on the weekend and goes immediately, but just at that moment, there are some guys cornering a girl in an alley, telling her to relax and come with them, that they will pay her well. Hinata recognizes her. It's Akane Yakumo, who is also from the school, since everyone is wearing the uniform. And she is there saying that she doesn't need their money. The Walmart Saitama just keeps walking, brother, not caring about any of that. The guy with the hat tells Akane to stop playing hard to get. Everyone from the upper classes is waiting for her. She asks what they are talking about, and the most handsome guy with a white cap says that everyone already knows what she did. She responds that they have the wrong person, but the traffic cone says that he is sure he heard it from someone very close to her. He approaches and says that if she doesn't want the whole school to find out, it's better that she just obeys. For a second, it seems like she's going to give in, but instead, she simply turns around and spits in the cone's face, even making an obscene gesture, telling him to shove it where the sun doesn't shine. The girls laugh at the cone, grabs her arm and tells her to stop acting innocent. Even her family thought it would be better to sell her. She pushes him again, saying that he has no idea what he is talking about. but the bastard is unstoppable and grabs her shoulder again. Perfect moment, obviously, for the hero to show up, right, guys? She is left surprised, wondering why Hinata is getting involved. The guy in uniform says that her face looks pretty normal, while the girls say he looks like that guy from class. He is considered the weakest and the worst in the academy. They say the relic he got is literally just a disguise and nothing more. The cone says he remembers it's the idiot who had his butt hanging out during the exams. He steps in and says it would be better if the boy gets lost, that they have business with Akane. But our boy stands firm, brother, standing right in front of her without moving an inch. The guy throws a punch, saying that the trash from Class E is too bold. Meanwhile, Akane doesn't understand why Hinata from Class E dares to confront these guys from Class C, but brother, look at the style. Our boy grabs the guy's arm, throws him aside, follows up with a sweep, face to the ground. Damn it, kid! In style, Akane was impressed for a second, and the next, she is already standing, waiting for the next guy. Next scene, we are at the kickboxing academy. Some people are shouting at each other, and in the distance, the tough girl is training guys. She throws a glance at the coach. He comes in to throw a punch, but she dodges, lifts her leg, and almost hits him in the head. The guy gets all awkward and a bit embarrassed, says that, as always, she was amazing and won. She thanks Takahashi for the training, and he says he expected nothing less from her. That coach is acting a bit peculiar. The guy won't stop praising her as if he wants something. He says he heard that she has a high-level relic and is a hard worker with a bright future. She, however, turns around and says there's always a bigger goal ahead. But there she goes again with that drama. Without him hearing, she says that at least that's what she used to think. Now somehow it doesn't make sense anymore, or she's just trying to get better at martial arts and nothing more. But there's our boy, the first one already on the ground. Bro, I don't even try to understand how he managed to beat that guy, since he's always the one who gets hit the most in class. Yeah, the most handsome guy in school comes to throw a punch, but our boy grabs his arm and puts another one on the ground. Bro, what the heck? Then Dee Dee shows up trying to grab him from behind, but luckily our boy elbows him in the stomach, spins, and hits him on the back of the neck. Weirdly, Akane is super happy. Huh, what's up, girl? Okay, we just got saved, but that smile is a bit over the top, isn't it? Seeing him there, surrounded by 3 losers on the ground, she realizes that in the end, he was never weak. It's just that by getting a bad relic, everyone thought so. Hinata then asks if anyone else wants to continue. The cone on the ground decides he's going to wipe that smile off his face and pulls out his relic. He shoots at him, but Hinata notices just in time and raises his arms to block. Bro, he goes flying through the air. The guy almost takes off, but he manages to land without a problem. But the cone weirdly says that his aim was off. Bro, I don't know if you noticed or not, but you hit him, this crazy dude. Hinata is a bit confused, apparently because he managed to withstand that blow, and then more people start to show up to see what's happening. As soon as someone pulls out a relic, everyone is already talking about calling the police. The schoolgirls know this is going to cause trouble, and the rest of them get up and all run off. Then Akane comes over to ask our boy if he's okay. The attack hit him head on. He also, without knowing why, replies that yes, he didn't take any damage. Then he turns around and says goodbye. But now she's curious. She asks if he doesn't want to know why those guys were bothering her, and Hinata just turns around and says no. But from her expression, she wants him to ask. She gets a little awkward and says that if he doesn't want to know, then she doesn't need to say anything. Everyone has things they want to keep to themselves. She says shyly that in the end he saved her, but she doesn't understand why, since she saw him suffer many times and never helped him. Suddenly her expression changes and she comments on the flowers. If she has something like that with her, someone must be waiting for her at the hospital and she should go soon. With that, he leaves, leaving her all shaky, wondering how she could have thought for so long that he was a pathetic loser or disgusting trash. She always believed he was weak because he never fought back, but he's actually pretty cool. Now at the academy, a little later, look who's there, tapping his shoulder and calling him, asking how he is. He asks what's up, and she just says she wants to thank him for defending her yesterday. He really saved her. He says it was no big deal, and just as he's about to turn and head to the classroom, a shot rings out down the hall, almost hitting him in the head, and he has to dive to the floor. Obviously, it's the cone again, accompanied by the handsome guys, saying it's bad luck that they go to the same school. Then the red-haired goth girl wants to know what Hinata did to make these guys so angry. Akane tries to intervene, saying that if they have a problem, they should take it up with her, but the cone just pushes her aside, saying that today's problem is with that guy. He tells Hinata that they only stopped before because the cops might have shown up, but here at the academy, anything goes. Hinata just says they're exactly like the people from his class, and then the cone punches him in the face, telling him not to compare him with those losers from Class E. Our boy takes the hit, gets up and throws a kick, but the blitzcrank hand, bro, the handsomest guy in college, says that as long as they're using their relics, Hinata doesn't stand a chance. Wow. He just spilled the beans right there, bro. He landed the grab right on his foot, lifted the guy up, and left him hanging upside down. The cone even gets in his face and says that Hinata will only have himself to blame since he was the one who got into all this. From now on, his life was going to be miserable until graduation day. But suddenly, bam! He gets hit in the back of the head, bro. Akane pulled out the Gatling gun and says they're all a bunch of immature brats. Meanwhile, the goth girl wonders what she's doing. It seems like she's lost her mind. The cone replies that she actually surprised him now. Apparently, she had a compressed bullet gun, which was cute, but she needed to understand that when it comes to shooting, they were in completely different leagues. Then he aims at Hinata's stomach and says he's going to show her how it's done, bro. The shot hits him right in the stomach, he lets go of the grab, and Hinata slides down the hall. Akane asks if he's gone crazy, is he trying to kill the guy? But he tells her to relax. If he survived yesterday's shot, he's not gonna die so easily today. But just then, someone turns the corner. Bro, it's the other scumbag who bullies him, the miserable Takayuki, and Hinata is there, falling and getting back up, wondering what's going on, why their attacks weren't hurting him. Just like yesterday, he feels no pain. It's as if he's just being pushed by the wind. Then he starts to wonder, what if it's not the suit that's getting stronger, but him? Apparently, the stats he's gaining from the mission window aren't being applied to the relic, but to his own body. Hearing Hinata get up, the cone wonders if he held back too much on the guy. But then, bro, Hinata activates Vengeance. Vengeance, he charges forward at the blitzcrank hand, getting closer, and as he thinks that now he's no longer just a useless kid who can't fight back, the punch lands, bam, right in the center of the Blitz's palm. Bro, and it bounces back at the idiot, sending him flying into a wall, slamming right next to the other bully, now half confused by what just happened. The cone is confused, and that punch could have stopped even a charging rhino. Bro, not to mention he just can't understand it. How the guy is at 100% after taking a direct hit to the stomach. Blitz tries to get up saying that, bro, that really hurts, but suddenly, the pretty boy changes his tune and says that it actually didn't hurt at all. He's just impressed that the guy managed to do 1 point of damage. Now the conehead is feeling confident, thinking that Hinata is only still standing because the punch didn't land right, and our boy realizes he rushed it. He should have waited to take more hits before using Vengeance. It's a tricky skill too. Damn, what a cursed skill. Now he's just standing there, a bit unsure, wondering how he's going to deal with this, since he has no other offensive skills. But enough of that, bro. He's already back in a fighting stance, saying he's sick of getting hit all the time, when a teacher shows up behind them, asking what's going on and reminding them that class hasn't even started yet. The conehead says, our boy got lucky that guy showed up, but they'll settle this later. Now, Akane finally lets out a sigh of relief, and the red-eyed girl just watches him. Takayuki walks away, saying that for a loser, he sure attracts a lot of attention. For now, he'll let the guy have some peace, unless he wants to start another fight. The friend with glasses, however, has already noticed there's something weird about Hinata. He shouldn't be able to stop a relic like that, not to mention he's completely unharmed, even after fighting someone from class. A while later, it's lunchtime. Like a good lonely nerd with no friends, our boy is in the bathroom, but focused on his stats. He's now starting to understand how that cursed suit works. The most interesting thing is that the effects are still active even when he's not wearing it. To be honest, in a real fight inside a dungeon, it wouldn't make a difference. He'd always have it on anyway. The real problem now was increasing his offensive power. He couldn't just rely on Vengeance, especially since it's a once every 24 hours thing. But how does he reach the next level? That's when Takayuki shows up behind him and says that Hinata should have told him he was going to the bathroom. Whoa, bro, what is this? Dude, are you trying to corner him or what? He puts a hand on his shoulder and says he was impressed by the little trick he pulled that morning. Obviously, he's already at it. He punches him in the stomach. He says it's a shame, but his fun ends here. Hinata's just standing there, but if I had to bet, right, obviously that didn't hurt him at all. And the guy with glasses noticed it too, bro. Our boy didn't groan or say a word. There's definitely something weird about him. Takayuki realized the punch didn't work on Hinata, and there's no point in hitting him if he doesn't have vengeance active. He's thinking of settling this with his fists anyway when Akane shows up at the end of the hall. Takayuki wants to know what she wants with him, and she replies that she's there to talk to Hinata. The guy finds it weird because he saw her trying to protect him earlier. Could it be that now she's starting to get clingy with him too? Akane tells him to stop making things up and that she just needs to talk to him for a bit. Besides, what's the problem? Was he going to start a fight with a girl now? That would be low even for trash like him. Whoa, bro, now you're cornered. What are you gonna do? Hit her? That would only make things worse for you. With no other option, she tells her friend that she wants to leave. She asks if he is okay, and he says yes. Then she quickly adds that he should know that she won't keep saving him from Takayuki. He will have to deal with that guy on his own. She has nothing to do with him, so what was she doing there, bothering him? A bit awkward, she says it's because it was her fault that those guys from Class C went after him. He, however, just says not to worry, he got into all that by himself, without her asking for help. The girl is getting redder and redder, right? Elsewhere in the academy, she tells him that her father fought on the battlefield against the monsters that invaded from another world, but when she was still little, her father was attacked by one of them, and since then he has been in a coma. From there, everything fell apart. Her mother chose to get into the entertainment industry behind closed doors, brother, and the more she worked, the more she changed. Every day there was a different man at home. This led her to get involved with a strange cult, and eventually, even Akane had to hand over the money she earned to her mother. She still thanks her mother for raising her in the end, but that's why she couldn't wait to enter this academy. Maybe the best option for her was to become a warrior like her father, fight on the front lines, earn money, and survive far from all that. But, just like our boy, she doesn't have an easy life, as she is stuck in Class E. Because of all that, once those guys found out about the past of her mother, they came offering her money thinking she would be willing to sell her body. She said no. They kept insisting, and in the middle of that, our boy showed up. Hinata just wants to know why she is telling him all this. Did he ask? With her feet all awkward, she says it's because he ended up involved in all that, and she thinks it's fair that he knows exactly what she got herself into, not to mention that he doesn't seem like the type to go around telling everyone. He gives her a small smile, and then she says that at least the boys from class disappeared and didn't bother him during the whole break. But she warns him that he should be careful, because it seems those guys are going to keep insisting. He replies that the one who should be careful is her. After all, the ones really looking for her are them. She agrees, but says that at least her relic is not a yellow suit. And with that, she walks away, saying he can call her Akane. The kid stays there with a little smile. Meanwhile, in the hallways, Takayuki is furious because just when things were getting good, that damn girl showed up. The glasses guy, as always, just sucking up and agreeing with everything he says. Takayuki stands there with his fist clenched, saying that the next time he sees that boy, the lesson will be the best of all. He tells the guy to go find that kid and tell him he's waiting for him in the bathroom. Takayuki is obsessed with catching Hinata in the bathroom. Brother, that guy is really weird. Then, the glasses guy, who I still don't know what that damn name is watching from outside and sees Kaori, brother. She is Akane's friend who is chatting with the cone. Talking to the guy, he wonders if she is confronting him to make them stop bothering Akane. But Kaori is saying that she didn't interrupt anything, she gave them the perfect opportunity and still they ruined it. Akane tells her to let it go, she already apologized, she should stop bothering her. The cone says that besides the kid who got involved and ruined everything, Akane didn't even seem very interested in the offer. Kaori is surprised and asks why he refused, to which the cone guy says he wants to know too, bro. They only made the offer because Kaori gave them the info that her family was going to sell her to a members-only bar. Phew, what a great best friend, right? That e-girl is dangerous, bro. The guy with glasses just listens as Kaori says that since Akane is stuck in Class E, she thought it would be better if she worked that way. That was the only reason she went to such great lengths to find someone who could help her friend. The cone guy says she's really messed up in the head, to which she doesn't respond. Not at all. She's just helping her friend get some money, since sooner or later she won't be needing it. But the guy says she only manages to do that because she's using her relic on the girl. Kaori says that's not the case. Although her relic makes people more likely to agree with her, it's not like they lose their free will. It also has the effect of making the person feel more cheerful. She asks if he doesn't agree, and he's already looking away, clearly under her influence, mumbling that he does. Then the cone guy shakes him to snap him out of it and tells her to stop using that power on them. After all, they're supposed to be on the same team. What they really want to know is why someone with a powerful relic like hers is stuck in Class E. She explains that it's because the academy only focuses on offensive abilities, and unfortunately, hers doesn't affect all monsters, so she was basically demoted. The guy asks if she's going to use the relic again, and she says of course, but this time they'd better make sure that she says yes. The guy replies that, considering how out of control that other dude is, he's about to ruin someone else's life. Kaori turns around and says they've talked enough for now. She'll see him tomorrow. The guy with glasses though, bro, just realized he heard something he really shouldn't have. The problem is how he's going to handle this. He can't go up against guys from Class C. In the worst case scenario, it turns out someone from a higher class is coordinating Kaori and all of this, and he's going to get dragged into it. Obviously, he can't count on Takayuki to help him. Then he remembers when Blitzcrank was slammed against the wall. Bro, maybe his chance is Hinata. He was the only one who might have a chance to stop all this. The scene changes to Akane, sitting in class, remembering when she was with her father, telling him he was an amazing hero. He replies that he's not that strong. She says, that's impossible. You're the strongest person I know. He tells her that things don't work that way. Besides, strength isn't the only thing that makes a hero. A true hero is someone who fights willing to give up everything, but no fight is worth it if it means risking losing his family. He gently pats her head and tells her not to forget that. But in the next scene, he's being carried away on a stretcher. The nurses are shouting to hurry because he's about to die. Obviously, Akane doesn't understand anything, and right after, the doctor says he survived, but his condition is terrible. Sometime later, he comes back from the school and is at the hospital with her father, when suddenly, her mother barges in with a vengeance. Akane tells her not to smoke in the room, but the mother just asks if that bastard has woken up before Akane can even answer. The mother is already kicking the bed, saying that the bastard promised to protect the family, and now he's just lying there unconscious. Bro, he might wake up just to slap her and go back into a coma. Akane tells her she can't say things like that, but the mother insists it's true because of that damn coma they were drowning in debt. Things couldn't go on like this. That's why she's already decided as soon as Akane graduates, she's going to start working, and with that, she leaves the room. German. Meanwhile, Akane discovered that there is a way to save her father, a creature called a shining basilisk. Apparently, that monster's liver can cure almost any disease, but it's so rare that not even with all the money in the world could you buy one. The only way to get it is to be a hero and kill the creature yourself. And for that, she knew her only chance was to get into Valkyrie Academy, but back in the present, looking at herself in the mirror, she wonders what she's doing there. She can barely get through class, and there's no way she stands a chance against that creature, remembering Hinata. She wonders if, had she tried her best, maybe she could have been like him. Just as she leaves the room, Kaori is waiting for her with her big glowing orb already activated. Let's be honest, it's huge. How could anyone not notice it? And obviously calling her friend over for a little chat. Meanwhile, the guy with glasses is looking for Hinata. He wonders if he can really just talk to him like that and ask for help. He doesn't even understand why he's thinking of getting involved. This has nothing to do with him. Just as he's about to give up, Hinata appears and asks if he wants something. He notices that Takayuki isn't with him, saying that's weird. The guy with glasses thinks this is his only chance to tell Hinata without getting too involved. The problem is, he doesn't have the courage. After all, Everything he's done so far has only made Hinata's life more and more miserable. Come to think of it, this guy even broke a chair over Hinata's head. Seriously, dude. You're not the friend of the year. Hinata then turns around and says that if he has nothing to say, he's leaving, and the guy with glasses just stands there in silence. Bro, but looking out the window, he sees Kaori taking Akane away. Just by looking at her eyes, it's obvious she's under the effect of the relic. But, so what if Kari used it? That's not his problem. He turns around, cursing, and starts running, and Hinata just watches without saying anything. In a warehouse at the academy, the Cone and his group are gathered. The blonde guy asks if what they've been waiting for is finally going to happen today. The Cone replies, yes, definitely. Apparently, Kaori brought the girl herself. The guy says, perfect. Now it's guaranteed. He always trusts Kaori. She's the reason he's been winning so much. Just then, the door opens the door. Kaori enters holding her friend by the arm, saying she's happy that Akane trusts her so much. Kaori, right in front of the guy, apologizes for taking so long. He asks why she used the relic. She said she wouldn't. Kari says that was the plan, but for some reason Akane wasn't seeing things clearly, so she gave her a little help. The redhead stands up and asks Ishijima if that's really the girl. She's too young. He can't believe he's really thinking about having his way with her. And Shijima stands up and says she's cute and even his type with her, and then he'll pass her on to his friends. Considering how pretty she is, he's sure everyone will love it. There's Japanese history, and this topic, what, bro? 1 + 1 is 2 too. Kaori whispers in Akane's ear that she's finally going to earn some of that money that she's needed so badly. Hypnotized, Akane replies, yes, she really needs to earn money for her dad. And Shijima says that no matter how many times he sees the effect, Kaori's relic always surprises him. Kaori, all flustered, says that her relic isn't strong at all. It just gives the girl a little push. Then, the blonde guy says that, relics aside, Kaori should be more careful because someone followed her there. The guy with glasses realizes he's screwed and regrets getting involved. He turns to run while he still can, but Kaori says it's just that idiot Hagane. The blonde guy asks who he is, and she says he's just a useless weakling, that they don't even need to worry about him. Then Kaori tells him not to run away, that by any chance he doesn't want to join the group. He's about to refuse, but it's too late, man. She throws the big purple sphere right in his face, and he's instantly stunned. He says yes, she's right, he really wants to join the group, and Shiggy says they're going to need some way to keep the guy quiet. At that moment, Kaori gives an order, and the guys already pull out the camera. The poor guy realizes he can't control his body anymore. He wonders why he's always useless in moments like that. Sometimes he tries to help people, but his sense of justice isn't strong enough. In the end, he always ends up on the bad guy's side because it's easier. The truth is, he gives up because it's always easier. To just accept it, he can tell himself he had no choice and blame the circumstances. But on the other hand, he sees that Hinata is different, even when he has no choice. Ha! There he is, showing up with a flying kick straight to the face, Hagane's face. It throws him back to the ground, and at that moment, the illusion breaks. Kaori says she didn't expect him to show up out of nowhere. Akane, seeing the expression on our boy's face, also seems to start regaining consciousness. And there's the guy, man focused. Come to think of it, our boy doesn't talk much. He's a man of few words. And Shijima asks who that guy is now, and Kaori says he's another one from her class, actually the weakest in the entire academy. The guy is confused. He wants to know why the weakest kid showed up throwing flying kicks. It seems like he's not right in the head. Kaori agrees, but says that now that he's seen and heard everything, they have no choice. So she asks if Hinata wants to join their group, but man, our boy is the king of mental resistance. He just says he wants to ask her something first. In theory, wasn't she supposed to be Akane's friend? Kaori replies that she wasn't just supposed to be, she clearly is. So that question makes no sense. Our boy calmly says that if that's true, then she knows what Akane's family is going through, and she shouldn't be doing that. But Kaori says it's precisely because she knows her situation that she's being generous by giving Akane the chance to earn good money. From the ground, Hagane says she's lying. Akane never agreed to any of that. Kaori used the relic to force her. Kaori realizes that damn flying kick made the guy break free from her control, but her biggest problem now is realizing that her relic doesn't work on Hinata. Then Hagane asks why Hinata went there. He didn't even mention what was going on. Our boy says he had a feeling that the other guy was about to ask him for a favor, but didn't have the guts. The guy is confused. He wants to know why he came to help anyway. Every time Takayuki hits him, Hinata never does anything. Sometimes he even hits him himself. Our boy simply replies that he always noticed Hagane didn't seem to enjoy doing it. In the background, Kon and the others are laughing, saying it's funny how he's trying to act like a hero. It seems he got brave after being saved from 2 beatings, but obviously the 3rd time will be different. They fire, saying his luck has run out. But Hinata just raises his arm and deflects the shot upwards. Kaori and Ishijima are just watching while Kon stands there, completely confused, not understanding how that happened again. There must be something wrong with his weapon, because there's no way that kid blocked that. But Ishijima says he's an idiot if he thinks it was luck, then asks Kaori what the boy's relic is. And she replies that it's just a useless suit with no special abilities. Ishijima says, that's not possible. There's no such thing as a relic without powers. He must be hiding something. Kaori admits that makes sense. What she really wants to understand is why her relic isn't working, even against older students, and people much stronger than him. They were eventually affected. Obviously, man, it's because the suit has resistance to mind manipulation. Here comes Blitzcrank again, but Hinata takes a small step back. The most handsome guy in school wants to know how the hell the kid always dodges. Meanwhile, Hinata wonders why they're acting like this. The relics they received weren't made to hurt people. They exist to protect humanity from the creatures that invade the world. To be honest, that's a fair point, but the guy just bursts out laughing, the bastard. Hinata is a bit confused by the trio's laughter, and that's when Ishijima steps in, asking if Hinata seriously doesn't understand how the world works. Only a small fraction of hunters manage to get into the major guilds or join the government. The truth is that most people who receive a relic can barely survive, let alone make money, and getting a relic in the first place isn't even that easy. So obviously, whoever gets one should use it to get as much out of it as possible, activating his own relic. Hinata says that, even so, they can't just destroy other people's futures. Is he really okay with ruining someone's dream just to make a few bucks? Obviously. The bastard answers. That's exactly what he's fine with. He doesn't care who he hurts as long as it's not him. A lot of people would take advantage of someone weak like her if they had the chance. For guys like them, betraying friends isn't even wrong. It's just the smart choice. In the end, there's no guarantee that any guild would want someone like Kane. Or anyone else. Letting her work herself to death for an impossible dream was just feeding her a lie. Finally, Hinata gets fed up with hearing that speech and charges. Blitzcrank lunges at him first, landing a clean hit, but Hinata's fist pushes him back, and Shigi admits that his punch was pretty strong, but he's gonna need more than that. It's because he's so weak that guys like them make him a target. Our boy starts to unleash a yo-yo style combo. Remembering the scumbag who showed up at the hospital, he wonders why people like that always torment the weak and are never satisfied. He knows that many others are in the same situation as him here, but why do these guys think that being stronger gives them the right to use others? Then he throws one last punch, and in that moment, the rage he's feeling activates a reaction in the suit. It starts a forced upgrade. Man! His fist glows red, and Blitzcrank goes flying, crashing against the wall. Everyone is shocked, and Hinata asks if they really think that being stronger gives them the right to do whatever they want. But that's fine. He's going to make sure they regret ever thinking that way. With that, the Relic of Wrath activates, giving him much more strength than normal. The guy went full Deadpool, man, saying that now they're going to learn why they were wrong. From the back, Hagane has already noticed that the kid's suit looks different. Meanwhile, Ishijima is looking at Kaori, wondering what's up with the kid's relic and why he suddenly seems so strong. Just from Hinata's expression, he can tell that something has changed. And man, a second later, our boy is already charging in for a punch, but that bastard Ishijima manages to dodge, though just the wind from the punch cuts his face. He kicks Hinata and asks Kaori if she's okay. The villain wants to know why this kid, who should be scared, is only getting stronger, and it makes no sense for someone like him to be in E class. Suddenly, he bends down, picks up a bottle, and says he's going to shatter that confidence. He pours water on his fist, saying that he might not be in the academy anymore, but when he was from B class, and obviously the natural talent gap between them was huge. The guy gives a whole speech just to launch a triple spit attack, and our boy blocks it like it's nothing. And Shijima says that normally that alone would have broken the arm of someone from E class, not to mention the kid has really fast movements, much better than a few moments ago. It's funny how Ishiguma praises him mentally and then says that the speed he gained won't change anything. He still lacks a lot of combat experience, so the triple spit attack erupts from the ground behind him and traps our boy. And Shijima says he should have considered that he was fighting against someone with trapping abilities. Our boy is getting attacked from all sides and spits up blood. The villain wants to act like the most stylish bully, but he keeps pouring water on his arm with the bottle, which is the most ridiculous thing. Still, he keeps saying that his relic is perfect for one-on-one combat. Too bad the kid ran into the wrong opponent. Sends the spit 2.0 straight to our boy's face, but something redirects the attack. And Shijima looks to the side and sees who's awake. Man, Akane had taken a hit to the face, and now she's back to help our boy. I thought it was Hagane who had slapped him, but she woke up first and slapped him. Now I'm confused. Kaori realizes that for some reason her ability isn't working anymore. She decides to use the purple sphere, but a shot knocks it out of her hand. Akane, looking sad, asks why Kaori acted that way. With her little villain face, Kaori replies that it's obvious she couldn't pass up easy money. Akane clearly doesn't like the answer, and Kari asks, what's with that face? She was just a worthless piece of trash. She should be grateful for the chance to earn some money. Akane just stands there, saying nothing, with her hands trembling on her weapon. The girl gets shot and is sent flying backward. Oh girl, react! She was hit by that lame guy Connie, who says that the kids from Class E have gotten too brave. There's our boy, still trapped, and Akane, who lasted 10 seconds on her feet. And Shijima says the fun is over. He tells our boy to relax and accept the brainwashing. Good thing Kaori was there, that ensured everything would go well, but Akane starts to get up. She says she hates to admit it, but yes, she really was weak back then and had absolutely no way to pay for her father's treatment. But even so, she was going to keep trying and giving it her all. She gets to her feet and fires a shot, and instantly our boy breaks Ishijima's trap. Crying, she asks our boy to take care of it this time. The classic cliche. Our boy walks up like a Chad, saying to leave it to him. But Ishijima says he's not very smart, since he could just use his ability again and trap him. Man! But at that moment, Hinata activates revenge. The guy is surprised, and our boy says he's had enough of all this. Ishijima's attacks fall apart, and he realizes that our boy had stopped his arm's movement. He immediately knows something is wrong, and as if he were pouring water on his arm, and as if that wasn't embarrassing enough, he even trips on the bottle. There's our boy, face to face, saying he's going to show them the power of the weaklings from Class E. Man! And he hits him right in the skull as Ruri realizes that it's over. Ishijima's nose is red. He's getting a beat down. When suddenly someone from the background calls his name. Come on, let him hit him for at least 15 more minutes. And brave little Connie still tries. He tries to attack from behind. But once again, our boy simply raises his arm and redirects that lame punch of his. Now, Connie finally realizes it wasn't luck, and Natalia grabs him by the collar and tells him not to mess with them again. She didn't have time to waste on trash like them. All bent out of shape, Connie just says he gets it. Man! With that, she drops him to the floor and our boy walks away. He walks past Kaori without a word and she trembles, which was undoubtedly a mistake. She should have had both her legs broken and been buried right there. Right, man? But oh well, Akane is there on the side. Remembering that his father used to say that heroes always stay true to their convictions, and now she gives our boy a little tap on the hand, thinking that he's a real one. Meanwhile, it seems there's a girl from the school watching everything, right? The place is pretty tidy. The blonde asks on the phone what they're going to do. The outcome of that was quite unexpected, and she was talking directly to the principal, who is watching everything at that very moment. What a mess! He replies that people who break the rules to that degree don't deserve any place in the academy. This was supposed to be resolved as they always do. Phew, good thing our boy didn't break the girl's legs or bury her, or he would have lost his enrollment. The principal looks all cheerful. It seems they already knew something was going to happen. They just didn't expect the big surprise to be our boy. He's excited for the next re-evaluation exam. Sometime later, there's a small crowd looking at the school's notice boards. There's the message announcing the expulsion of Kaori and the three losers. Akane asks if he told anyone, and he says no, that he just went on with his life, but it seems the school found out. Akane says it was undoubtedly someone who was there, since no one else knew about Kaori. Just then, our boy notices Takayuki coming down the hall, wanting to know what all the commotion is about. Akane says she doesn't know either, and the boy turns around and says he's going to the cafeteria, telling them to come with him. Hinata says that if Akane wanted to, she could talk to them. Akane agrees, but says that when she thanked him yesterday, he just said he didn't do anything and that she didn't have to talk to him. With that, he turned and left without saying anything else. Hinata turns around saying she understood. She asks him where he's going, and when he says he's going to buy some snacks, she wants to go too. But the boy is a cold Sigma and asks her, "Why are you following me?" She is startled and yells, wanting to know why they wouldn't just eat together. Neither of them had anyone else to spend time with, so obviously they would stick together. Ouch, so romantic of you, girl. There they are sitting on the bench, and it seems he told her about the relic, because she's asking what this evolution and gaining new skills thing is. Sounds like the power of my man Sung Jin Woo, right? In a world where no one can evolve, he's the only one who can. Oh, that's going to be the title of the video. Let's go. What it says here doesn't make much sense. He probably already had the skills, he just hadn't registered them, but he insists that's not the case. Yesterday, after that fight with the suit, his upgrade list was updated, and this time all the skills seem to be related to aggression and strength. Clearly, that shows the rage suit is focused on offensive skills, and now it's confirmed the suits have some kind of emotional release mechanic, which excites him. There's still a lot of room for him to get stronger. Then, Akane puts down her food, stands up, and says she wants to start training with him. She's sure she won't become as strong or as fast as him, but at least she wants to start defending herself from those guys. Hinata, all sweet, says she knows that she has been trying hard. She is a bit confused, but he says he noticed that moment when she equipped her own relic and got hit by a surprise attack, but still got back up again, which shows she's been training. She gets all red and flustered and says it doesn't matter. She has to try even harder. She holds out her hand and says that it's a promise. They're going to start working together to get stronger. He smiles and says, "That's fine." Man, but the moment he holds out his hand, look who's up there. I'd already forgotten about you, Blue Thighs. She's up there wondering why these weaklings don't have anything better to do than just sit around. Then she turns to the blonde person next to her and asks if she has thought about the offer. She thinks she'd be the perfect addition to the reevaluation team. The blonde, however, calmly replies that she's going to pass this time. Shizuku then turns and says, "That's fine, but if she changes her mind, to let her know. There's still plenty of time until the date." Man. The blonde is distancing herself because those three from her group seem to be friends with the ones who got expelled. She's sure that Shizuku knows that, so why is she still willing to surround herself with those people? A look outside shows our boy having fun with his waifu while thinking that Shisui is getting into unnecessary danger. Next scene, training time, man. Look at Haigene over there, joining the group. That guy over there is Professor Gonzo Takashima, who says there's no point in relying only on the relic. They also needed powerful bodies. Class E might be behind all the others, but they still had a chance to turn things around with effort. Everyone's practicing face kicks, and our boy is hyped seeing the progress, and someone who's enjoying watching his performance is Kayuki on the side. In the classroom, the professor says the reevaluation exam is coming up. He says he has to be honest, if they don't get a good result on this first one, the chance of changing classes later on is extremely low, but even if they have weak relics, it's good not to get discouraged. The exam's criteria go far beyond just relic abilities. Things like performance, situational judgment and combat skill will be taken into account. On top of that, teamwork seems to be the main focus. Right away, Takayuki didn't like that, and Hagane wants to know how the groups will be formed. The professor explains that each group will have from 2 to 5 people, and they themselves will form the groups with whomever they choose. On top of that, they can also be people from other classes. At that moment, Takayuki angrily says he must be kidding. Who would want to team up with people from Class E? The professor says the test starts right there. In their ability to recruit other people and show the value they have, that's because the academy exists to train students to become important members of the top guilds. And in guilds, obviously, team combat is essential, so it's a skill they'll have to develop whether they like it or not. If he doesn't want to stay in Class E, then he'd better work hard, find a good group, and get a good evaluation. Takayuki, however, is just standing there annoyed, thinking that ever since he got into this damn class, things have never gone well, and looking at our boy, he knows he's stuck in this place because of that bastard. After class, obviously Akane is already asking what they're going to do. He asks what she's talking about, and she says they need to find more people for the team besides the 2 of them. Clearly, she's already included herself, right? But the happiness ends when Takayuki shows up and calls him out, asking if he really thinks he has a chance, wondering who in the academy would want to team up with the weakest person here. Akane and the 2 boys are there, not paying it much mind. Suddenly, the guy grabs him by the neck and says that lately he's been getting too big for his britches. It was about time he went back to being useful and got him some lunch. But man, Hinata isn't having any of that and tells him to go get it himself. The guy tells him to repeat that, then turns to Akane and asks her if she's really going to side with that guy just because Kaori was expelled from school. She says yes, and wants to know what the problem is, Takayuki. Besides, she's sure he would be a much more useful teammate than Takayuki. Takayuki, the guy, is furious, and she asks if Hagane doesn't agree with her. Back in the room, Takayuki is kicking the table, fuming with rage and wondering if that bastard really thinks he's better than him. Hagane tells him to calm down, and he takes a deep breath, calling his friend who asks, "What's up?" A so-called friend, right? He comments on some of the students who were injured and even died during the reevaluations. Hagane asks why he's bringing that up, and Takayuki tells him to remember that the fights happened in D-rank dungeons, which are set up to resemble a real fight, and under conditions like those, accidents were inevitable. Of course, he knows, however, that sometimes some of those accidents are deliberately caused. Hagane is still a bit confused, and the bastard says that maybe, just maybe, something like that will happen this year too. In the next scene, we see a chubby guy on the computer chatting with some people online and telling everyone to remember that the Valkyrie reevaluation would be the following week. The guy in the little suit wonders if that weirdo hasn't given up yet. People want to know who he's talking about, and obviously, he's talking about the one who got naked using the Saitama suit. The giraffe girl says she heard he's still in school. It seems like everyone is keeping an eye on who comes and goes from the academy, bro, because they want to bet on who's going to get the highest score in the reevaluation. As expected, Shizuku is at the top of the betting ranks, much to the chubby girl's annoyance, along with Sachi Shirohane, that little blonde. These 2, in general, are expected to stay at the top, and of course, way down at the bottom of the pyramid is our dear Hinata with a multiplier of 137 to 1. And speaking of the rogue, he's out there in the forest training, and suddenly a big bear appears, and he just turns around and gives it a good kick to the chin. Poor thing. It's already foaming at the mouth, and damn, he didn't even notice. Just by wearing that suit, he instantly became stronger. The problem is that this little red thing here drains an insane amount of energy, and his vitality keeps dropping. When his energy hits 0, his life starts to drain per second as long as he's wearing the suit. The good part is that it's related to his stats, so if he gets stronger, he'll eventually be able to use it for longer. Just then, Akane calls him and he says he's running late. The poor girl replies that her remedial classes ran longer than she expected. She can't understand why at this hero academy she still has to suffer through this damn history and geography. He says he gets it, but at the end of the day, they're still in high school, so she asks if he's ever taken a remedial class. and he says he hasn't. She wants to know how that's possible, and he's just standing there looking awkward. Aw, man, he's remembering that he learned everything from that damn Shizuku. From the very beginning, she'd already told him that his physical strength wouldn't be enough, so he says he always studies a little before bed, and that's it. She praises him and immediately pulls out her weapon, saying it's time for them to start evolving, especially since the reevaluation is getting close. However, in the middle of their little chat, someone with a staff steps out from behind a tree, and Hinata immediately grabs her and jumps out of the way as the spot explodes. He asks who the crazy girl is, and look who it is, bro! The little blonde girl we already know is going to team up with our boy, saying that now she's sure. The Hinata from before has really changed a lot. The one she knew wouldn't have detected an attack like that. Our boy is a clueless bastard. He doesn't know this girl is number 1 in the rankings and asks who the crazy girl is. Akane says that's Sachi Shirahane, and the poor girl looks a little sad, right? Because her reputation isn't reaching him, but her friend says she was one of the strongest in Class A, and people say she's the only person in this school who can go toe-to-toe with Shizuku Aine's. As soon as he hears Shizuko's name, the guy's eyes go wide, and then Akane says that she's here because Shizuku hasn't been acting like herself lately, and she hopes he doesn't mind, but she wants to see what he's capable of. Just like that, she went on the attack with a spear. Hey, I thought the girl was a mage, bro! What is this? This girl's wicked. Our boy, however, grabbed the spear with both hands, threw the girl far away. Fly, you damn thing! But even in midair, the crazy girl still manages to fire off a blast and blasts our boy, sending him flying like an idiot. Akane calls out to him, and as he's getting up right in the middle of the smoke, the damn girl is already on him again, but the boy's got style, don't you worry. He blocked it with his arm, knocked it aside, and the girl let out a little smile. Look at that! She did a spin with a little twirl and stopped right by his neck. Then she got this crazy look on her face, saying that it's now confirmed that he's changed, he's evolved a lot, or he was holding back during the exam that time. Hinata just wants to know what she's after. She keeps staring at him and then says that everyone is trying to recruit her for the reevaluation exam, but if she's going to team up, it has to be with someone who sparks her interest. This girl right here thinks he's very interesting, so how about they form a team? But right away, our boy just says no and thanks her. The poor girl is left standing there with a baffled look on her face and asks, "What do you mean, no?" He thinks he misheard and tries to explain himself again, saying he was suggesting they team up, but he just says he understood and said no. Now it's getting complicated. Crazy girls are always like this. Now that he doesn't want her, she wants him even more and wants to know why not? To which he replies that he simply has no idea who she is, and besides, she came to attack him out of nowhere, so she doesn't seem like a good person to have on the team. Not to mention, he doesn't want people to think his result was good just because she carried him. Maybe if he had her on the team, sure, they'd have a better chance, but then no one would believe he won on his own merits. There's a reason why he has to join a guild soon, and for that he needs to prove his worth by showing his own strength. He's standing there with his little fist clenched, and she just looks at him. That crazy girl just does that. Then she closes her eyes, turns around, and says that he's really interesting, but he'd better not take too long to reach the top, bro. And off goes the little lunatic. Akane, however, is of course freaking out, wanting to know why he rejected her, since that would have already guaranteed him a perfect score. The poor girl has an ongoing mental challenge. He just explained everything and she already forgot. Our boy immediately asks if she didn't hear what he said. Not to mention that the little blonde didn't even acknowledge her presence there. He got the impression that she's the type who only cares about those who interest her and couldn't care less about anyone else. Then Akane stops to think and says that it actually makes sense, especially since the girl didn't even talk to her. Our girl then walks away saying she'd be a terrible partner. They'll do better just the two of them. What's this? She turned all red, saying she hopes so. So, what are you thinking, you natural girl? Now he's pensive, finally realizing how strong someone at the top really is of the class. Her base, strength, speed, and tactics were on a whole different level. The axe almost took his head off, and the poor guy realized she wasn't even taking it that seriously. He knows that even if he had been wearing the little red suit, bro, he wouldn't have stood a chance for real. He still has a long way to go. He was an idiot for getting cocky just because he made a little progress. At the rate things are going, he's never going to catch up to someone like her, which means he has to improve his efficiency. It's then that suddenly, on the system, a message gives him a reward saying he has received permission for an audience. The scene then changes to the Kansai base for defense against interdimensional monsters. At that moment, the periodic meeting of the Guild Alliance was taking place. The Mustache King is named Renpei and Hagane, and he says that today's topic would be the appearance of some strange portals. They conducted some investigations, but found nothing. The guy with glasses is named Jinji Kagura, and he says nothing. The redhead named Sherry Truman also says nothing, while the guy asks them for their opinion, since they're the ones who always go to the portals. The last one is the red-eyed albino named Ogishio. Everyone there, bros, are S-rank and also leaders of the most powerful guilds. 2. Kagura says he's a bit confused, wanting to know why they are so focused on closing them, those portals. 3. Ogai replies that if they had already found something, they would have shared the information. And Sherry says the same on her part. Diocles says that, obviously, almost no one would share information there, since losing a portal like that to another guild meant losing money and work. Sherry says she wouldn't act that way because she isn't as narrow-minded as he is. Then, Takashima tells them to stop with the subtle jabs and asks Kureha if they've discovered anything. The monk says there's something strange. The portals were appearing more and more frequently, and the interval between each one is getting shorter. The people just stare at each other, and Ogai then says that for now they can still contain them. Sherry, however, warns that at the rate things are going, a time may come when they won't be enough to handle everything. Takashima says that if that happens, it will be another portal breach and another catastrophe. Kureha says that's not even the only problem. For some reason, the creatures that have been appearing lately are stronger than ever. If a catastrophe like that were to happen, the scale would be even greater, since the monsters are more powerful. Takashima says that things are not looking good and that they need to find a solution for this soon. Just then, Kagura adjusts his glasses and says that this is the perfect time to bring in some fresh talent. The guy agrees and wants to know how the training of future members of the academies and guilds is going. That old man in a tie, named Atsushi Tsushima, is the director of the Valkyrie Academy and says that this year they have several interesting candidates. The re-evaluation will happen very soon and they'll be able to see everything. Sherry says she's interested and Kagura wants to know if there's anyone he should keep an eye on. Tsushima says definitely Shizuku Manase and Sachi Shirohane. The expectation is that the performance of both will be incredible. Shizuku had a relic that allowed her to freely control life energy, while Sachi's relic could easily generate explosive energy. Ogai comments that, in terms of destructive power, the two seem very promising, and Sherry is already interested in recruiting Shizuku for herself. Brother Kagura, however, wants to know if there isn't someone more interesting. He wants to find someone with strong defensive abilities. Tsushima asks why, and he says that his guild is in need of someone like that. The problem is that it's difficult to find such a candidate, but then he smiles and says that the son of the person who used to hold that position studies at this academy, a guy named Hinata Asahi, and he wants to know if he's still there. Yes. Sherry says that name sounds familiar, and Kureha comments that, if he's not mistaken, he's the one who got naked during the exams. Tsushima says yes, he's still at the academy. And then Kagura comments that he doesn't get it. He heard the kid has a relic with no abilities whatsoever. Why doesn't he just give up instead of keep pushing and suffering like this? Tsushima, however, just says that maybe he's wrong. Maybe Hinata is someone who is going to surprise everyone. With that, we arrive at the day of the reevaluation. The reporter is there introducing everyone, saying the energy there is incredible. That year's exam would take place directly at the Valkyrie Academy, and everyone would enter a D-rank portal that appeared unexpectedly. Sherry is up above watching everything, saying that as always there's a lot of activity. It was even strange to see how calm everyone was considering this was an exam, from which numerous students would come out injured or even dead. The principal replies that he believes this is one of the few forms of entertainment these days, and he thanks her guild for offering to handle the security of the place. Sherry says it was no big deal, and from a distance, she spots the blue-haired girl with just like the guy next to her, or since Sherry has been a guild leader for a long time, she can quickly see someone's potential. She looks to the side, sees the blonde guy with the crazy teddy bear girl, then she sees the glutton, and right in the middle of all that is our exhausted boy, right, bro? The scene then changes to the D rank portal, known as the Distorted Garden. Inside, there's a girl holding a sword, shaking all over, because, well, look at the size of that damn goblin, bro, holding a student in each hand. These D rank things nowadays are tough, huh? Back in my day, D rank was goblins and rabbits, and barely that. She screams in desperation, about to be crushed, but someone rushes in and slashes. When she opens her eyes, the guys tell her it's a shame, but her team's exam ends there. She can go with them now, and they'll escort her to the exit. On the screen, everyone is watching excitedly, saying the fights are thrilling. On top of that, it was impressive how the people in charge of security were S rank and could easily eliminate those monsters. The rules for this challenge were quite simple. As soon as you enter the portal, you have to start earning points. The easiest way was to enter the portal, kill the creatures, and collect mana stones. It was also possible to earn points by looking for items, resources, those minerals, herbs, and all that. That was the only way for students who didn't have many combat skills to pass. On top of that, teamwork was also evaluated. The guy blocked the goblin's attack with his shield, and his twin brother immediately followed up with an arrow shot. The total time would be 60 minutes, and the host wants to know who they think will shine this year. While all that is happening, there's our boy and Akane on the sidelines, bro. She says she doesn't know why, but she feels a little down. Our boy asks why, and she says it's weird. They're about to go in there to risk their lives against those creatures to be evaluated, but for everyone on the outside, this is just a reality show or something. So she takes out her lollipop and asks if that doesn't make him angry somehow. Before Hinata can answer, Takayuki shows up. He just appears, saying he must be enjoying it since he's the center of attention now. The guys ask what he means by that, to which Takayuki says he needs to stop being an idiot. Everyone's talking about his reevaluation online. They're anxious and dying to see how the hero wannabe is going to humiliate himself this time. Hinata doesn't really care about the taunt, bro. He just gives him a look. Akane asks if he came all this way just to say something like that, and the bastard replies that he was just walking around and ended up seeing the two of them. He pats him on the back and tells him to relax a bit. It was an important day for everyone there, so they should keep a friendly atmosphere. While he's messing around, our boy glances to the side and notices Hagen on the sidelines, looking downcast. At that moment, the announcer calls for everyone's attention and says that the second exam is about to begin. It's their turn now, and Takayuki says it's his time to shine. He waves goodbye to our boy, saying he'll see him in there. Akane seems to hesitate for a second, thinking about saying something, but just closes her eyes and runs off. Akane finds it strange, wondering what that guy is thinking. Our boy doesn't say anything, and with that, we're already on the stage. A guy in front of the portal asks if they're ready. Once the exam begins, it will be a life or death situation. In case of emergencies, they could activate that device, and the guild and delvers would come to the rescue. And with that, they can begin. Bro, everyone is already inside the portal, rushing in. In the chat, everyone is excited about the blonde dangerous one. Right, bro? Wondering what she's going to do. Everyone is eager to see how much they've improved since their admission. That's when they see the yellow suit. Right, bro? Obviously, everyone recognizes him immediately, but some noticed that the suit looked a little different. The copyright got left behind. Poor Akane. Everyone is sure she must be a weirdo for agreeing to team up with a psycho like that. Our boy, however, looks to the side and is already face to face with an ogre. Everyone in the chat is sure it's already over for the two of them. The monster lets out a roar, comes in with a punch, smashes the ground, but when the smoke clears, boom, a punch to the gut, bro. Our boy had already put on the red suit. Bro, meanwhile, that bastard Kagura is watching with a disinterested look on his face, and I'm already tired of him. But when he saw the kid's trick, he was impressed, right, bro? It seems like everyone outside went a little quiet. Meanwhile, the damn blue-haired girl with the thick thighs is there, making faces as she watches. Sherry comments that it's the first time she's seen someone with a relic that can change shape like that. Tsushima, however, notices she doesn't seem very surprised, to which she replies that everyone called him a weak kid, that he was useless and they laughed at him for insisting despite having no talent. But she knows Tsushima and knows that he's cruel to those who truly have no talent or willpower. If he had no potential, he wouldn't even be in Class E. That's why, after Tsushima's comment, at the meeting, she already expected him to have something special to show. No student who hasn't been expelled from the academy would be useless. With that, the ogre falls on its back and, bro, our boy focused all his strength into his fist, turned all red, got up, ran, and boom, another punch straight to the chin. Meanwhile, Akane is shooting her wind bullets, right? Although that damn thing, it hasn't done a single point of damage this whole series. But at least it's a distraction. Our boy comes flying in from the moon, bro. He really smashes its head with that. The creature dissolves, and he goes to pick up the stone. When he's about to touch it, he remembers to use his other hand, right? Because if he touches it with his dominant hand, it'll be absorbed by the suit. He thanks Akane for the support, who says his punch wasn't bad at all. Meanwhile, that damn Takayuki is spying from behind the trees, seething with rage. Akane says they had a really good start and that she has a good feeling about this. Our boy realizes that the Fist of Rage is better than he thought. All he has to do is concentrate all the suit's power into one part and punch with all his might. That was one of the skills unlocked along with the Rage suit, and he realizes he's evolving very quickly, considering he still can't use that thing for very long. At that moment, Akane tells him to look behind him. A 30-meter mosquito appears. Her bullet finally does something, and the creature falls to the ground right after I criticized her. Damn it, I say something, and they fix it, right? Damn, the girl even boasts that her aim is pretty good, and he agrees, remembering that on the days he comes to train, bro, she's also been practicing a lot, no wonder she's landing her shots. She just needs to do more damage, right? You want to see? Now a group of goblins is coming, let's see how much damage she does. He rushes forward, and she fires the first shots. Ah, damn it! Just because I said it again, she took down 2 goblins! That damn girl! At least our boy is the one who'll have to take care of the last one. Bro, Fist of Rage, and he bent the guy's club, smashing his head in with it. What the hell, bro? He slammed him into the ground. Our boy calmly walks away. Akane picks up the crystal, and he's sure that just with those 2, it's enough to at least not fail the exam. Akane is excited, and he says that at this rate, maybe they'll do better than he expected. The academy will have no choice but to improve his evaluation. Meanwhile, Takayuki gets to his group and Hagane asks what's wrong. But he's seething with rage. He starts cursing our boy with every name in the book while punching a tree, bro. He wants to understand how that bastard, who was nothing but trash, managed to defeat a... No, he's sure. He's positive. It's because of that damn Akane giving him support. Or actually, he's not even sure about that. The guy is just having a meltdown by himself, bro. Takayuki is angry because he thinks Hinata was always holding back just so he wouldn't have to defeat him, which in his eyes means our boy is the most arrogant of them all. So he says they'll go back to the original plan. Hagane hesitates, but is immediately grabbed by his neck. And Takayuki asks if he has a problem with that. Of course, the idiot just says no, backs away, and grabs his weapon, hesitating a bit. So far, I still don't know what Hagane does, but he covers his weapon with some kind of liquid. Takayuki's original plan was to lure that goblin to Hinata to get rid of him right away, but that didn't work, and obviously, now that they won, he had no choice but to move on to part 2. All he's going to do is lure the area's boss straight to the 2 of them. Good morning. Now, a little context about Hagane, watching television with a dream, just like Midoriya's, wanting to be a cool hero like the ones on TV. The problem is, bro, that he's not the protagonist of this story and his dreams were shattered before they even began. What he got was a relic called the Theft Factor, an item that allowed him to extract the essence of living organisms, giving him the ability to create some pretty unique potions. The problem is that on its own, it was completely useless. That relic wasn't made for attacking, and that's why he ended up in the legendary class. And to avoid getting bullied and maybe rank up, he started teaming up with people who had strong offensive skills. At least, that was the excuse he used to avoid getting beaten up. He felt bad seeing Hinata getting beaten, but at the same time, he felt relieved that it wasn't him. In that class, as weak as he was, at least there was Hinata, someone even weaker, who took all the hate. But the guy never gave up, did he, bro? And somehow he managed to get stronger. The person he thought was the weakest ended up evolving enough to not have to put up with anyone anymore. While he, on the other hand, was still just following Takayuki around like a slave. Hinata worked hard, became stronger, and now all he felt was rage when he looked at him. And that's why he did this, bro. Takayuki poured a strange liquid on his hand and slapped it onto our boy's back. Hagane seems regretful. But it's too late now, isn't it, you bastard? One of the guys in the group with a glove stretches out his arm, and a drone immediately starts flying overhead. Takayuki says the rest is up to him now, that he better not screw this up. The attack hits the boss right in the stomach, and it lets out a roar. Takayuki congratulates him, saying that unit reacts really fast. That berserker pheromone seems to have worked quite well. Any creature injected with it would attack the people marked as targets by the potion. He didn't think it would even work on the area boss. But while Takayuki is saying that, Hagane repeats to himself that he shouldn't be doing something like this, which makes the bastard even more furious. The damn guy who pulled the trigger, and now he's getting all dramatic. If he really had any morals, he wouldn't have agreed to be pressured into this in the first place. He hates how Hagane acts like a victim, even though he's just as guilty. Damn it, now I'm gonna have to agree with him. Yeah, seriously, the villain is right. He lets out a smile, turns around and says, they're leaving. Hagane asks what he means by leaving. Bro. Takayuki says it's obvious and throws the liquid on him, saying that now all the evidence is left behind, bro, before Hagane can even understand what just happened. The boss is already there, crushing his back, and it destroys a tree. He asks why, and Takayuki says it's obvious. The school is definitely going to ask why the boss came out of the gate and approached a place like that. To make sure they can't find out, he had to erase the evidence. Someone is about to say something, bro, but Takayuki just says they'd better run, especially since the second that boss catches him, he'll be dead. Just then, Hagane tries to reach into his pocket to grab the device to call the guilds for help. Right, my man? But of course, the bastard had already taken it from his chest when he got close to him. The poor guy realizes the bastard had planned to get rid of him from the start. The problem is, he doesn't have time to remove the scent that attracted the boss. It seems he only has one potion, and he thinks about using it on himself. Then he thinks he's crazy, he pops a vein or something. Bro, I don't even know what happened, but we're back with our boy, who just defeated another goblin. Akane praises him, saying that at this rate, they'll at least move up a class. When suddenly he senses something approaching, and boom, a flying kick. Damn, someone! Through a white liquid that gets all over his body and face, he's wiping it off, asking what kind of weird gunk that is. And in front of him is the battered Hagane. So that wasn't actually the liquid that makes you get hunted. It's the one that neutralizes the scent, and he falls to the ground saying that at least now Hinata won't be chased. Hinata is about to ask what's going on, seeing him all beaten up, but he just tells the two of them to get back. And bro, as he's being attacked by the boss, he says this is the end of the road for him. But of course, right guys, 1 + 1 is 2. Our boy activates his suit and jumps in to protect him, but even with the suit activated, he gets hit from a distance and sent flying. Our boy asks if he's okay, and Hagane says yes. But he wants to know why he jumped in to protect him like that, to which our boy replies that it's because they don't know if it's really going to be his end or not, and that he's not the type to give up easily. Meanwhile, outside, everyone is a bit confused by the situation. They were sure that Trio wouldn't stand a chance. Against the area boss, Sherry immediately gives the order telling them to get in there and help the kid before they all die. A chimera like that, classified as rank C2, would be impossible for them to beat. She then notifies Tsushima that for a creature like that to be there, someone set something up. A portal boss never leaves its post unless something strange lures it away. That's because if the crystal it protects is destroyed, the entire portal collapses. Tsushima puts his hand to his face and says he knows that all too well. He never thought a student would do something so reckless. He can't tell who would go to such an extreme. He's sure that Hagane must be involved, but he also seems to be one of the ones who is tricked. For now, he just hopes that Hinata keeps them safe until help arrives. The Chimera is roaring in our boy's direction, while Akane is there with her legs shaking completely. Our boy might be face to face with the boss, but she was sure that the possibility of the three of them dying there was very real. Our boy's there, bro, grabbing that fool Hagane by the collar while dodging and throws him far away. The problem is that it looks like our boy's entire body is shaking just from blocking one attack. From the amount of aura coming off that creature, he knew this thing was completely out of his league, but he still wasn't going to give up, bro. And he rushes in to attack, dodges another swipe, pulls his shoulder back, and lands a clean punch on the creature's chest. But the Chimera just laughs and whips him in the stomach with its tail. Bro, the poor guy slams into a tree and falls to the ground foaming at the mouth. Akane rushes to help, and he pushes her away, telling her to back off. Yeah, because of her, he just took another tail whip to the gut. He's all shaky and tingling, okay? But at least he's getting up in the meantime. Hagane wonders why Hinata doesn't just give up already. It's because if he gives up, he dies, right, bro? He'll be devoured. Then Akane says it would be better if they ran. That was a creature completely out of their league. Our boy is there thinking there's no way to beat that thing. Maybe he could do some good damage if he used the vengeance skill, but even that wouldn't be enough to take it down. So, what's he going to do? Once again, Hagane yells at him that this is enough, it was all his fault, so it would be better if he just left him there and ran. As long as our boy doesn't provoke the monster anymore, it would chase after Hagane. Meanwhile, I'm just watching the bastard, beats his chest, and yells for the Chimera to come at him. Bro, the boss hears him and charges, but damn it, Hinata jumps in again and hits it right between the heads. The problem is, it's a two-headed Chimera, so the other one bites him while he's hitting the first one. Damn, there's Hagane helping him up again, telling him to give up. But no, bro. Hinata gets up saying he's not going to run. The fool wants to know why, and he says that the three of them are going to get out of there alive. That's because the person he admires never abandoned someone who needed help, even if it meant risking their own life. If he ran away here and now, he'd lose the right to say he respects those ideals. Bro, honestly, I'm starting to sympathize with Hinata. Hagane's over there all emotional while our boy dodges more tail whips. So far, he's just been defending himself, bro, wondering how much longer it'll take for Veldora to arrive. Another direct attack to the face, and he takes the hit head on. Meanwhile, from a distance, is that damn Takayuki smiling like the Joker himself, and damn it, with that he completed a mission. And the condition for that mission was death. His reward was, once again, that guaranteed audience. In other words, our boy really died. Guys, he's already appeared in the sky. He's looking around all confused until someone says he's finally appeared. Small smile. She says she thought he would have arrived sooner. Ah, damn, I thought it was going to be a cute girl, but it's a little kid. Well, the person there says she was waiting for her master. I'm getting more and more confused. He's just like me, right? Wondering where he is, who this weirdo is, and what's going on. Looking at his hands, he's sure that a second ago he was face to face with the gate's boss. The girl from the sky says that he had died, or to be more precise, right now he was between life and death. And the only reason he couldn't be considered someone who had already died was because he was summoned there. He's confused by this crazy girl who's teleporting all over the place, trying to figure out who this lunatic is. She says he doesn't need to have that expression, a scared and defensive one. This place was a mental world under her control, or rather, it was the mental world that existed inside the suit he owned. He starts to wonder if all of this is part of his relic. She forms a sphere of water and shows him bro, showing that he was about to be crushed and is in serious trouble. Actually, she stopped time right at the second before the attack hit him in the face. I mean, I saw that tail hit the ground, right? But let's just say she rewound time by 5 seconds, and she says that if he moves his body to the side, he'll be able to barely dodge it. Hinata asks if he was brought there for her to help him, to which she replies, yes, obviously. Out of nowhere, he pats her on the head and apologizes for doubting her. She slaps his hand away and tells him not to get all touchy-feely. Besides, if he keeps acting the way he is, he's going to die soon. He'd better know that this was the first and last time she could help him like this. because she has no power left now. He says he'll go back there, but he doesn't know how he's going to face that situation. She tells him to come closer, that she's going to give him some advice, and then she stabs something into his eye. I thought it was a joke, but she says she made an adjustment to his eye, then tells him he has to learn to choose his enemies too. The creature he's fighting isn't one he has a chance of beating, not to mention he was being too direct in his way of fighting. In a hopeless fight like this, he should first focus on understanding and analyzing his opponent well. The bastard is more worried about finding out who she is exactly, because she's inside his relic. She smiles and says she's just a nameless traitor. Obviously, he still doesn't understand anything, but she says time's up. He starts sinking into the ground and tells her to wait, that there are still many things he wants to know. But she just says that the stronger he becomes, the more answers he will find. But first, he'll have to pass this test. And maybe he should start wondering why humans received those weapons known as relics, and also who was responsible for bringing war to the Earth. The poor guy is asking for answers, but instead he only gets new questions as he sinks. He wonders why she's doing this. The girl just smiles and says she'll see him again soon, Hinata Asahi. Just then, our boy opens his eyes and the tail whip explodes against the ground. Akane is on her knees thinking he died, bro. But from the center of the smoke, a silhouette appears and she's already smiling. The rascal dodged it. He pulled a circus-style maneuver, the Cirque du Soleil, and landed softly on the ground once more. Akane says he'd better run before it's too late, but he says, no, bro. I want to know where those damn people from the Doris Guild are, bro. They're coming doing somersaults. Meanwhile, the minion is just watching with glowing eyes, bro. The chimera leaps from the smoke to grab him with both arms, but he just steps back. Akane is surprised. Even the chimera seems a little confused. It tries to attack again. He backs away. 2 more attacks come and he keeps dodging. Suddenly, it seemed like his eye had become very sharp, says Akane. An attack from the right sneaks in. Another one from the left. He dodges it too. It's not that he was reading the movements exactly, but rather he was sensing the malicious intention of the monster, he says. Still, he was terrified because he had just gone through a near-death experience, but for that very reason, he could now clearly read the enemy's movements. It's preparing a punch when those damn guys from the Doris Guild finally arrive saying they should save him, but they stop the moment they see Takayuki there, sweating and unable to believe it. After taking all that damage, Hinata activated vengeance and unleashed it in an attack, bro. The chimera came with another strike, but he dodged its claw. He pulled his arm all the way back, and along with vengeance, activated the Fist of Wrath. He landed a blow right on the ribs of the boss, the chimera. He even stuck his tongue out mid-punch, twisted his fist, and slammed it into the ground, bro. Everyone outside is watching all this. Cherry is a complete mess, while Tsushima smiles. In the chat, obviously everyone is confused, right, bro? Saying it was epic. Obviously, all the people who were posting against the guy are now in shock. They thought the guy was already dead. Even his sister is watching from the hospital, although to be honest, I had even forgotten she existed. Meanwhile, the girl with the thick thighs and blue hair isn't there. All in right, bro. Her friend is impressed. Now it makes sense why her friends back there didn't get hit. Things had gotten much more interesting, and bro, the chimera starts to disappear. The problem for our boy is that, obviously, he's now so exhausted he can't even maintain the basic form of his suit. Akane runs to help, and so does Akane, while the idiot is just seething with rage behind the trees. Once again, he can't understand how that damn brat got stronger out of nowhere in the middle of the fight. His partner next to him, bro, says he already warned him the plan was terrible. Now that Hagane survived, he would tell the school everything. Takayuki, however, says they're going to go through with it. If the information leaked, they'd be finished, so they would have to finish off the 3 of them right there. But his friend seems a bit doubtful, saying he doesn't think that's the best option. It seems he's afraid of our boy, of that Takayuki kid. However, he grabs him by the collar of his shirt and asks if he really wants him to expose him, but oof, bro, they got caught on a 4K recording. One of Cherry's guild members recorded everything and sent it to her. She says that now they've discovered who the reckless one behind all this was, and immediately, she gives the order to arrest them. The principal, however, bro, says he wants to see how things end. 2, if he rushed to judge the situation incorrectly, it would only generate resentment in that person. 3, if that happened, the boy would continue to act like that for the rest of his life. 4, Cherry asks if he's trying to teach the boy a lesson so he'll realize the mistakes he made. 5, Tsushima says yes, and she says the chances are low. The student in the strange outfit had reached his limit and didn't even have his power activated. Yeah, Tsushima is crazy, bro. He says that sometimes they get involved and things get out of hand, but he has a feeling that everything will turn out fine. The guy with the glove there seems to use a power to disable the drone in the area, and right at that moment, Takayuki says his chance has come. The guy runs straight like a madman towards our boy with that psycho look in his eyes, almost crying, and Hinata puts his friends behind him, and the bastard comes in screaming he's going to blow his head off. And he throws a clean punch. The smile obviously disappears. The moment he sees our boy calmly blocked it with one hand, the idiot grits his teeth and activates his move with his other hand. He tries to throw another punch, throws a combo, but Hinata is just dodging. Bro, the guy ducks under his arm and gives him one right on the nose. The poor guy gets up with red paint coming out of his nose. That's it, Julio. Hinata walks over, asking if he isn't the one behind all of this. He grabs him by the collar. It's time to tell him he went way too far this time. Takayuki, however, just smiles like a maniac and tries to throw another punch, but our boy doesn't even fight back, bro. He just grabs him by the neck and gives him a headbutt. Our boy pins him to the ground and says that in the end, he never stops making immature decisions, which is why he never bothered to waste energy fighting him. At that moment, Takayuki starts to think that maybe this whole time he'd been beating on Hinata, the guy was already stronger than him. He decides that there's no way he's going to accept something like that and lunges one more time, only to get a punch that empties his stomach. Bro, everything came out. The poor guy's face is on the pavement as our boy says that using a relic on him would be a waste. He wasn't even worth the power of the suit, and bro, his friend is on the side. Alright, so while Jerry says that now everything is settled, Tsushima says, yeah, this clearly separated those who put in the effort from those who didn't. The re-evaluation exam had been a success. One day after the exam, everyone is just chilling in the hallway when someone walks by and catches everyone's attention, right? It was our boy, with Akane by his side as always. She asks why she felt like everyone was staring at them. As she recalls, the last time they walked through here, everyone was talking smack about them. Apparently, people's expressions had changed, which proved they were a bunch of hypocrites. Our boy remembers, bro. When he used to walk the halls alone, it was just a bunch of people staring and snickering at him. But now everyone is smiling, pretending to be friendly, right, bro? Seeing that, Akane says that he made it either way. Everyone was seeing him in a new light now. He smiles and says, yeah, but with that long blue hair, you know who's about to appear. They lock eyes for a second. And there's the damn girl, bro. They look at each other for a moment and she says that in the end, it wasn't that bad. She admits he wasn't as terrible as she thought, but tells him not to dare think for a second that her impression of him has changed. And bro, she just walks off saying that anyone from Class A could have beaten that monster without breaking a sweat. What the heck, girl? You didn't even say hi. Totally nuts. Akane is right asking what that girl's problem is. He tells her not to worry too much. She's always been like that. The truth is, that was her way of giving a compliment. Meanwhile, the guy in the bandana is just giving a peculiar look back in the halls. Dorms. Hagen is there packing his things. He received an expulsion letter but doesn't seem very affected. He just says that's everything and wonders if he forgot anything. Door closed, he leaves. Here, Hinata finds him and asks if he's leaving just like that. He thanks our boy for being there and says he didn't want to leave without saying goodbye to him. Our boy says he doesn't really know what to say, and Hagen replies that it's okay. He had already made his peace with what happened and knew it was his fault. In the end, his punishment was much lighter, considering that Takayuki was arrested for attempted murder. He, on the other hand, was only expelled, so he's not even going to complain. But seeing that our boy didn't look very happy, Hagen asks him not to make that face. He goes to his bag, takes something out, and says that just because he's leaving the academy doesn't mean he's giving up. He says this potion is a recovery one that he made using his relic. He showed it to the principal, who said his talent was actually quite useful for a certain field, so he gave him a letter of recommendation. He always knew that being a warrior wasn't really his thing, but he can still contribute with the talent he has. And seeing our boy who never gives up, he realized that he couldn't just stand there moping either. So he bows and thanks our boy, asking for forgiveness for everything. Our boy gives him a small smile and shakes his hand, wishing him good luck. Meanwhile, with the principal, who says that this year's exam was actually quite peaceful. Peaceful, the blonde secretary wants to know if he's sure it was peaceful. And he replies that he admits there were some dangerous moments, but at the same time it was an incredible fight to watch. Even the guild masters seemed happy with how everything ended, and Cherry left a note saying she was interested in taking in that guy in the suit if he wanted to become an intern at her guild. The secretary says that's surprising. That woman rarely recruits anyone. To which the principal replies that it just proves he left a great impression. From now on, the first-year students could go to the battlefront. The hard part for many more, however, would be finding a guild to take them in. The secretary says yes, but only if the person is above C rank. Hinata, being an E rank, didn't stand a chance. However, after the reevaluation, our boy is now B class and Akane is class, and here we are, class 1B. Everyone looking back, obviously our boy just walked into another lion's den, right bro? If Takayuki was the one beating him up before, now it's time to find out who's gonna beat him up next. The poor guy, however, doesn't even flinch. He's kind of used to it already. At the same time, he still can't believe he actually made it to B class. Just like that, this was a place with a very different vibe. Everyone there seemed more focused and determined, talking about strategies on how to get stronger. Very different from the conversations in E-class. He'd better stay focused if he doesn't want to get left behind. But here comes someone calling out the new guy, the one with the yellow braids, wants to know what it feels like to rank up out of nowhere. Our boy, before making any friends, tells the guy to say who he is first before coming up asking questions like that. And with that, Golden Braids introduces himself as Subaru Arataka, who has been in B class from the beginning and wants to ask our boy something. How did he manage to fool everyone, huh? Just because I asked who the villain of the week was, here he is. And Nada tells him to explain, and Subaru says that things just don't add up. He's never heard of someone going straight from Class E to Class B, and that's why everyone there is wondering if he really has the skill to be in that place or if he cheated. He slams the table and tells him to admit that he was helped by the Doris Guild, but the idiot is just embarrassing himself. And Nada just looks at him without caring in the slightest. The guy keeps banging on the table, wanting to know why he's so calm, while our boy realizes that he met Takayuki 2.0 a while later. The teacher says that until the next reevaluation the following year, everyone there would remain in Class B, and comments that he only sees a few new faces. But the main point is that they must understand that their real goal is to aim for Class A. To give them an idea, only one person moved up to that class, which makes it clear how big the power difference is between the two levels, and anyone who wants to catch the eye of a truly powerful guild needs to close that gap. Subaru asks the teacher if he isn't being too harsh. It's not like they were just sitting around doing nothing. It's just that the training portals weren't even good enough to really train, so he wants to know how they are supposed to improve. The teacher says that's a fair point, which brings him to today's topic. All students above Class C will receive temporary licenses that would serve as proof of the skill they have. Basically, they would have access to portals in the real world, both D rank and, some other rank. On the other hand, they would have to be accompanied by certified people or guilds with the proper authorization. This was the new program that was happening at Valkyrie, and the great advantage is that they could evolve much faster, fighting alongside stronger people from other guilds. At the same time, they had to know that this was extremely dangerous, almost deadly. A real-world dungeon run meant a real possibility of dying at any moment. Our boy, however, is already starting to look a little excited. During the break, here comes AKA, right, bro? Did you think she was gonna stop sticking to the guy? Never! She already wants to know what the atmosphere is like in Class B, and says she doesn't feel like she's gonna fit in very well there. She says it was the same for her in Class C. Everyone said she didn't belong, and because she came from Class E. And as always, there was a guy just like Takayuki in her class. Guys like that, bro, are apparently in every class. Then she mentions the program to enter real dungeons, the perfect opportunity not only to earn school contribution points, but also rewards and money. Our boy wants to know how much money she's talking about, to which she replies that it obviously depends on the portal you go to, the guild you go with, and what you're going to do there. But at the very least, it would be much better than the money they earn killing those training goblins. And Nada is excited. He's finally going to be able to earn real money. Even while he's still in school, that would already help him start saving money to support his mother, who is still in the hospital. Not to mention that the training portals weren't that useful anymore, and his growth was kind of stagnant. This internship program would solve all his problems at once. He asks where to sign up, and she says there's already a board posted in one part of the school. He immediately gets up, saying he's going to go, but she says he doesn't need to rush. It seems they'll be accepting applications for a while before deciding who they'll take, and says they can go together after class today. Our guy smiles and says he got it, until he sees that damn blonde right there next to them, asking if she can go with them too. No one is surprised, and Akane just asks what she's doing there out of the blue. She explains that Class A is right next door, so she was just passing by, saw the two of them, and came over. And she's impressed that, just as Hinata said, he managed to get into a high-ranking class, and now that he's there, there's nothing weird about them doing things together. She goes on to say they could even apply to the same guild, but he simply says, not a chance. The poor girl is left standing there with her eyes full of tears, wanting to know why not, bro. He replies that he couldn't train or learn anything if she's around. Subaru's on the sidelines and realizes, this is Sachi from Class A, one of the strongest students, so why is she getting close to those weirdos who just got out of Class E? But considering this whole dungeon participation thing is coming up, the timing was perfect. He would try to go to the same place as Hinata and expose his weakness. Sachi is there, tugging on our guy, begging him to let her go with them like a little kid. And a little later after class, you guessed it, bro, the three of them registered. The damn girl never left his side. The trio registered with a B-rank guild called Elven. They were recruiting people for a D-rank portal. The problem is they were only taking 3 people, and they missed their chance. When suddenly, a voice in the room asks, if that's really what he should be worrying about, he looks back and there she is again, right? That damn girl. She says with his current level, he should be more worried about not getting killed by just anyone out there. He, however, is more focused on wanting to know why she's randomly in his room. She replies, that's a weird question. She already told him she lives inside his relic. So obviously, if he's there with the relic, she is too. He says, no, that's definitely weird, especially since she said they'd see each other again when he got stronger. She gets off the bed and says what she actually said was she'd answer his questions once he got stronger. She never said he had to get stronger just to see her again. Besides, his progress was way too slow, so she came to see what was going on, just like how a relic can manifest out of thin air and interact with the world. She was no different. Our guy, however, just keeps staring, asking her to finally say who she is. The damn girl says again that she already told him she's a nameless traitor, but if he wanted a name to call her by, he could use Nanashi. Apparently Nanashi in Japanese means something like anonymous or nameless, right? So basically it's a name for someone who's nameless. The next day, Akane asks if something's wrong. He says no. While Nanashi is clinging to him, he says he's going to ask one more time and teases her, asking if she doesn't see anything right there next to him. She gets scared, wanting to know what this craziness is. Is he surrounded by ghosts or what? He replies that no, he was just kidding. But it's already clear that she's like a Ryuk 2.0, just like how a player's status window only appears for the user. She must work under the same principle. The darn Sachi shows up, already wanting to start a conversation with the two of them, asking if they always eat together. Before they can answer, she already sits down, and Akane says that Hinata is acting weird and seems to be surrounded by ghosts. She makes a scared face while Hinata tries to understand what kind of weird group this is. Meanwhile, Nanashi is right there, bro, wanting to know when they're going to start training. She already warned that the level he's at is too low, and that if he doesn't start training soon, anyone will kill him. Bro, he's sick of this damn girl spending 24 hours a day in his ear telling him to train. He tried to get more information, but she just said that telling someone as weak as him wouldn't help at all. What he can't figure out is what her real goal is. Suddenly, the door opens and a guy says that he finally found them. It's Mr. Takashima from Class E, saying he's impressed that the two girls made it to Class B. And the guy asks, what's going on? Takashima hands a paper to both girls saying it's his job to inform the students who were accepted and to give them this. The two of them are beaming, while he says that this obviously shows the guild accepted their participation. Hinata, with a sour face, wants to know where his is, right, bro? To which Professor Hinakari says that he wasn't accepted, bro. They accepted another student from Class A in his place. It seems they need someone with a ranged support role more than someone like him. Immediately, Subaru says that if that's the case, then he wasn't chosen either, because he's not a support at all. Sachi's about to apologize and say she's not going, but the guy cuts her off and says that if she doesn't participate in this one, she won't be able to participate in anything else for the next 6 months. She slams her face on the table, realizing she has no choice, until Takashima calls Hinata and tells him he received a special offer. Bro. And look where it's from. From Deldoris, right, my boy? Hey, but Nanashi just watches from the side after class, as always. There he is back at the portals. The problem is that these goblins are now too easy. Nanashi immediately comments that at this rate, he's not going to get anywhere. The system even notifies him that he can no longer absorb mana stones from hobgoblins. Our boy realizes that this place has now become literally useless for him. All he wanted was to increase his durability by 5 more points, so he could use the power suit as much as he wanted. So he asks if there isn't some way to get stronger, to which she replies that the plans she has for him are too dangerous. Any place she might suggest would be a death sentence. Then he asks her how his eyes are doing, the ones she gave him, the skill that allowed him to predict the enemy's next move. It was awesome. The only problem is that it barely lasts at all. Nanashi explains that it's because his intelligence stat is too low. He wants to know exactly what that attribute does. And she explains, it's the ability to materialize supernatural phenomena. Through logical reasoning, man, you already need to be smart just to get that, and since our boy's stat is low, he asks her to explain it properly. Basically, she says it's the power you need to use more magic and skills, that's it. He mentions that he's heard of monsters using magic, but he had never seen humans do anything like that, since they all fight using relics. She explains that under the right conditions, intelligence can manifest in anyone. However, the skills created through that intelligence vary from person to person. She sees that his intelligence stat is 5 and wonders how he can be such garbage. Then, she backs away and says that given the situation, there's only one method that will work. He asks what method, and she says he's going to try his luck in a C-rank dungeon. He needed to learn that his biggest problem is that he doesn't know how to fully use his skills. Bro, she opens the portal right there with her finger, saying that if he really wants to get stronger, all he has to do is step inside. Our boy hesitates for a second, right, bro? A portal in the real world, you go in, you die, you die, you die. He gulps, but walks towards it. As soon as he enters, he finds himself in some kind of catacomb, like an abandoned place, when suddenly, a flash of light at the end of the hall shines. And boom, he gets hit with a direct spear combo. I think it's like mental training or something, right? Because it looks like he just died like an idiot. And that's when he discovered that the pain he had felt until now was nothing compared to the hell he was about to face. The next second, he wakes up on the floor of the previous dungeon, bro, shaking all over, with his hands twisted, wondering why he's still alive. Nanashi explains that the moment he crosses the portal she created, his real body stays outside, and what moves forward is his consciousness. The bad part is that, obviously, the body left behind is completely unprotected. The good part is that he doesn't die inside. He's furious, and she wants to know why he seems to think that's unfair. He had to understand that most deaths in the world follow a logic that makes no sense at all. As soon as he crossed that portal, he should have already been prepared, bro. As long as he thinks things are going to be predictable, he'll never get strong. He still doesn't quite get the purpose of this training, and she says he should already know. Just like when he unlocked the Suit of Wrath, he has to meet certain conditions to unlock the next one. Our boy says he thought it was just a matter of emotions to unlock the suit, to which she replies that yes, that is one of the conditions, but obviously the suit doesn't evolve just because of his feelings. So he asks if she's saying that to evolve it, he has to complete that portal no matter what. Yes. She replies not exactly, but that this portal would be the perfect shortcut. She says it's time for a change of scenery, bro, and in the next scene, he's face down on his room's floor. She knows that for him to unlock the next suit, he has to prove the strength and determination he possesses. Death by nature always carries a certain feeling of injustice, and now it was time to prove he could survive it. Bro, this is totally Dark Souls. He steps on the floor, a trap from the ceiling opens, and he gets impaled from the ground up. Before the poor guy can even get up, he sees the boulder coming and gets crushed. The boy wakes up in his room again, screaming in despair while she's just bored. She gives him a look from behind and leaves again, but this time she stops right in front of him. She asks if he's scared and warns him that even if he is, he must dive in headfirst without hesitation. The people who keep fighting even when they fear death, those are the ones the world calls heroes. The next morning, there goes our boy walking through the halls with dark circles under his eyes. Bro. Our boy is strong, but after that second death, he couldn't go back into the gate because during the exam he didn't know he was going to die. It took him by surprise, but in those labyrinths, death was truly very real, and the pain and agony were all too realistic. Not to mention, after he hesitated, Nanashi disappeared, saying he was pathetic. Looking at his trembling hand, he knows he's not actually going to die, but he still can't overcome the natural instinct to run from something like that. A while later, he knocks on the door of the Doris Guild's orientation room. Bro, when he opens the door, look who's there. Thick thighs and an icy stare, it's her, Shizuku. Next to her is the little punk with the bandana. Kaido Hibishima, the blonde guy, is named Chloe Burgess, so we'll call him Burgess. And the girl with the teddy bear is Anko Keikan. Everyone's there, bro, all from Class A. Just then, someone says they didn't expect to see the Class E reject there. It's Subaru standing nearby, wanting to know why the Doris Guild accepted someone like him. Shizuku, however, laughs and says she's wondering the same thing. About Subaru. Someone from Class B like him shouldn't even be there. The poor guy tries to defend himself, saying he's been in Class B from the start, so technically he's on the same level as the others there. But Anko just replies that he's dreaming. If he were really on the same level, he would have moved up a long time ago. Subaru is furious because apparently this Anko girl used to be in Class B and managed to move up to Class A while the loser was left behind. She asks if Chloe agrees with her, and he just says he's not interested enough to have an opinion about him. The guy in front of him didn't even seem strong enough to be a good sparring partner. Subaru is there yelling, saying he's not weak like that guy behind him, while our boy couldn't care less. Suddenly, our boy hears something, bro, and in the blink of an eye, some attacks fly towards him. It looks like he clutches his stomach, and Burgess says that's why he doesn't stand a chance against someone from Class A. It seems his ability is to control transparent knives. The guy's relic was called Phantom Dancer, League of Legends vibes. Bro, we've got a budget Ezreal here. And he's surprised because our boy managed to catch one of his little knives right away. Both he and the guy with the bandana get interested. Meanwhile, Shizuku is dealing with our boy. She asks him why he's trembling and sweating. It seems she already realized he didn't belong in that place and that he was pathetic. Our boy is about to say something, Subaru too, but she just tells them both to give up if they're not ready. Weaklings like them would only get in the way, bro. Our boy tries to say something to defend himself, but the door opens, and the teacher asks if everyone is present. Everyone goes silent. He tells them to sit down, while the damn girl won't stop staring at our boy, who's just standing there gritting his teeth in anger. All the details are given, and a while later, Hinata is already back home calling for Nanashi, bro, saying he wants her to appear now and open that portal because he's going in. She appears and wants to know what changed, what happened. Where did this determination come from? She opens the portal and asks if it was that woman who humiliated him or what for him to be so fired up. The wretch replies that she was listening the whole time anyway, so why ask? Our boy feels terrible because when she said he'd do nothing but get in the way, deep down he knows it's true. Right now, he doesn't have the strength to face those guys. He's just a coward, but there's no way in hell he's going to stand by after hearing someone say something like that about him. Now, his determination was stronger than ever. No matter what, he's not going to give up. And the system says that his courage activated a secret reaction in his suit. Next chapter, and we're back in the mental dungeon. Our boy walks down the hallway until suddenly he has to dodge some spikes. He says he needs to keep his eyes wider open and calculate his decisions even more. Everything in this place seemed to have a certain pattern and move for a specific reason. The glow is coming from up ahead. He already knows something is approaching. However, at the same time, a kind of small launcher appears from the side, and there's light shining from all directions, but the rascal manages to dodge the spikes, doing a flip. However, as soon as he backs up, 2 more come straight at his face and he has to do the laser challenge right there. Then a disc comes. Oh my god, what is this? He stepped there and fell into the hole. This is really hard. There are no monsters in this place for him to kill, and there it is. The boy gave up and went running on the court instead. It's easier, life wasn't going well for the boy, but he rested and returned to the dungeon. He returned to the death room after being crushed by the rock again, did push-ups with Nanashi on his back. For God's sake! 15 years in jail for this kid, and he's back in the dungeon getting hit with a stick on his arms. But the boy withstood the pressure and is now face to face with a gargoyle. Finally, a monster appeared for him to kill. He's about to throw a punch and, at that moment, he once again activates something in the suit for showing determination. He had acquired the skills concentration and super reflexes. 2, concentration. Guess what? Right? It lets him concentrate. And as for super reflexes, if you can guess, I'm not even going to tell you. Next scene. It was the first day of the dungeon, but now, in the real world, the netizens program over there was about to begin. And the guys want to know who is buying all those boxes. A blonde guy named Jin Katsumata appears and calls out to the leader, saying that the preparations were almost complete. She says she understands and mentions that he seems to be in a very good mood and wants to know why. The sly guy says it's because today the students of Valkyrie would be joining them for the first time, and considering how much help they need, she's happy to know a bunch of people with potential are coming. The guy asks if she's excited about student Shisu, and she says yes, besides her. There were a few other people who had caught her eye. Even the student who's always in a suit is coming. Katsumata wonders if that's the guy named Hinata. The last time he saw that guy, he didn't seem to be that good. Not to mention that considering he had trouble against a chimera, he must be the weakest person who's going to participate. But just then, Jerry says they've arrived. Our boy's group arrives on the scene. Actually, it was the group that didn't want to have our boy. The teacher says that he's leaving everyone in her care and she thanks him right away. Shizuku approaches and bows, yeah, that little wretch. When it comes to the strongest, she's full of respect. I want to see when our little guy becomes the badass if you're still going to keep bowing to him. The sly one is just looking at him from the side there, all curious. That's when Sherry speaks up, saying that as everyone had been informed, they would be entering a ranked dungeon. That explains their guild's formation, which is an incredible strategy. 1 in the front, 1 in the middle, and 1 in the rear. Truly, it's a flawless plan. 4 of the students would be part of the vanguard with her. The rest who came from Class B would stay in the middle guard along with the others. Today's mission was to kill the boss and seal the portal, which means everyone has to pay close attention. On top of that, she wants to make it clear that this was not an academy test. This here was a real dungeon. Their guild would try to protect them as much as possible, but they'd better be prepared because anything could happen. Shizuku comments that she didn't imagine a guild as strong as Dora's would still attack C-rank portals. Yeah, to which Sherry explains, of course they do. Their mission is to protect the citizens from the portals so that everyone can live in peace. Besides, there are rules that define which guild gets which portal, and once it's decided, there's nothing they can do. Of course, she knows there are other guilds that prioritize money and reputation instead of duty, but Curasia wasn't one of those, and she's glad that her granddaughter is there. The Goth Ani thanks her, and with that, it was time to go in. Katsumata calls the two fools and says they're coming with him. He already tells our boy that he'd better not wander off and stay very close. Otherwise, well, he might end up dead. And Subaru, out of nowhere, comes in with a little shoulder bump saying our boy better not slow him down. We were already enemies, and now he wants to act all friendly. Get out of here. He asks if Katsumata is always in the middle line, and he answers no. This was a special situation to protect the two of them, although the vanguard would take care of the creatures at the front. At any moment, a rank C1 monster could attack us, and that's why, once again, he warns them to stay alert. The creatures the guy mentioned are rank C1, and our boy knows that the chimera he faced was rank C2, which means the average level of the creatures there is lower than the one he already managed to beat. Of course, he still has to be alert because fighting one monster is completely different from fighting a dozen, and with that, we enter the portal and already appear in the desert. Rank C, the challenge of the hungry beasts. As soon as they enter, there's already a dozen of crystals on the ground that the vanguard had cleared. Subaru looks towards the horizon, wanting to know how they killed so many things, and my goodness, there goes Hinata messing up again. He even put on his suit. He ran out and kicked a rock for no reason. Actually, he was defending because a huge monkey was already approaching from the side. Katsumata says those cannibal monkeys are way too smart and probably already knew that weaker people were coming. He drew his sword, activated the 15 grams of muscle he has, and launched a slash from a distance. Bro. The two idiots were so scared he didn't even have to get close. He then orders the rest of the group to stay sharp and look out for more monkeys. However, as he watches our boy, he's impressed. The creature wasn't even in his line of sight. Nobody had noticed the monster, except for the badass himself. What he doesn't get is how the kid sensed its presence the moment he entered. This kid might actually be something interesting. Meanwhile, in a C-rank portal in the city of drowned spirits, some trees with octopus-like roots are on the move, bro. And look who it is, guys. Akane. It's a miracle in this story. The author is actually showing what the side characters are up to, huh? But out of nowhere, a purple laser zips past her, and the creature explodes. Yep, she got trolled, huh, bro? That Sachi girl was there too, and now, how are they supposed to party up? Hinata really made the right call not bringing this airhead along. Akane goes up to chew her out, demanding to know why the attack was so close. Seriously, one step to the side and she would have taken the hit. But Sachi just ignores her, telling them to just finish this already and go home. Poor Akane. All she's left with is her lollipop. Just as Hinata warned, she isn't getting any chance to practice with her relic, and now she's wondering if she's even getting any training in at all. With whatever the heck she's doing. Girl, don't you even hesitate and take this kick to the chest! The little monkey comes to attack, he dodges, and another guy from the guild takes the hit. Hinata shows up with a furious punch and smacks the other one in the head, and the little thing goes spinning. Bro. The guy beside him congratulates him, saying that's not bad at all. Meanwhile, Subaru is just watching. He must be super jealous, wondering how the kid who was the weakest in E-class can move like that. Apparently, he really did belong in B-class, while Subaru, who's been in B-class for ages, hasn't done a single thing in this freaking dungeon. Fed up, he activates his sword, jumps, and blows up the monkey's chest, saying there's no way he's letting Hinata take all the glory for this. His relic was some kind of gun blade. And doesn't that remind you of something? It reminds you of that one series that we watched, the one about the kid with the Yggdrasil cube. Isn't that weapon just like his? And he says he's going to show them how it's done. Just from that, Katsumata is already thinking that those two have even more potential than he imagined. That Subaru guy seemed a little impulsive, but his offensive skill and energy were top tier. Hinata, on the other hand, had zero durability, but he was great at positioning himself in battle and was super aware, not to mention his reaction time. That was the most impressive part, bro. Our boy already warns them that another pack of monkeys is coming, and Katsumata can't understand how this kid is detecting monsters before him. The little monkey grabs a solid rock and throws it at our boy's back, but he dodges it. And the other guy takes the hit, right in the jaw, an elbow to the stomach, and another one comes from behind Katsumata, who cuts one down and keeps his eyes on our boy. Is he falling in love, bro? Then we see that the devilish Sananashi had said she would give him some advice. She shows him a frog and asks him what's the first thing he feels when he sees it. He replies that obviously he feels that if it were to attack him, he'd end up hospitalized from the poison. She says that conclusion is the exact meaning of instincts and that if he wanted to survive the portals, he needed to have sharper instincts than anyone, the ability to sense danger. It always started with a small, strange feeling about the things around you, and he had to train himself to catch even the most minimal reactions. He hears something approaching and immediately jumps to dodge the monkey. Bro, a rock is coming through the air, but the rogue gives it a flying kick. What the heck, bro? The kid really is a badass. One of the guys nearby notices him, calls Katsumata and says there were too many monsters, considering the vanguard had already passed. The blonde guy is also a bit confused. There really were too many monsters, considering that area was supposed to be clear. He knows it's impossible that Sherry overlooked that. There were less than 10 people in the country with a 5-star relic, and she was one of them. Then, there's a guy with a sniper rifle aiming at him. What, bro? The guy was about to shoot, and our boy got in front, threw a rock, and deflected the shot. The real AWP wasn't on point today, bro. The guy already took off running. Katsumata asks what happened, and our boy says someone was aiming at him, and the worst part, bro, it was a person, not a monster. Immediately, the leader wonders if it could be some kind of dungeon criminal. He finds it strange that they're targeting an S-rank guild. Right, they must have a death wish. But once again, he's impressed with the little badass who noticed something like that, so he says his life was saved thanks to our boy. No way. An S-rank hunter would die from a sniper shot, bro. They're really getting desperate, huh? Oh, bro. Right at that moment, a guy appears asking for help, saying the guildmaster was in danger. Confused, he asks what the situation is and what's going on, and there she is, Shizuku, just waiting for a hero in a tight suit to come save the waifus. But before that, let's go back 30 minutes. When they entered the dungeon, and Sherry said she would explain the Vanguard's entire job. Obviously, it was to go up front and clear safe paths for the rest of the team. They would spread out as much as possible, but at the same time, they would maintain enough distance to keep communicating. Shizuku quickly asks, right, if that doesn't seem a little dangerous. To which Cherry replies, this is how you handle C-rank portals. One step forward, the creature comes to blow at her, but she just raises a shield and with a wave of her hand, shatters the creature along with a bunch of monkeys that were in the air. Bro, he even says that she alone was enough to handle an A-rank gate. The students are all trembling while the guy with the bandana thinks that just as the rumors said, she was a monster. The poor little monkeys are all shaking, and she says that she'll leave those for them to handle. A while later, Shizuku and the rest of the group had already killed a few, but she already noticed that those C-rank creatures were much more dangerous than the D-rank ones. Sherry says they actually have pretty good potential power, and asks if the deep web goth Annie isn't going to do anything. Anko explains that it's because of her relic, she can't do anything until she absorbs human stones from creatures they have already defeated. Sherry says she can go get one then, and she says it's okay and goes to grab it, somewhat doubtfully. As soon as she has it in her hands, the stone is absorbed and turns into a monkey plushie. Sherry seems impressed that the girl can reanimate a defeated creature. Although the copy probably isn't as strong as the original, even so, it would greatly help increase the number of party members. She's just interested, saying she can't decide which is the best option. Meanwhile, the real one was there with his sniper rifle aimed and says he has her in his sights, but as he was watching the girl, suddenly he trembles and she glances over. Bro, from far away, she noticed a tiny movement and destroyed it. What the heck, girl? What kind of power is that? She even says he was quite an amateur in the end, since she felt his bloodlust. But then another group appears, and they all start shooting. But now she just puts up some barriers, and that's it. She tells everyone in the group to take cover and starts sending messages. The problem is that the communicators aren't working, so she tells the guy in the group to go get help from the others. Shizuku, with her 33 IQ, asks what's going on. And Sherry has to explain that they've been ambushed. Everyone is in hiding, while the leader thinks that this makes no sense. Normally, bandit guilds, right, wait for the team to finish the dungeon and then steal everything they got. They're being attacked right from the start. And not only that, the bullets seem to be real ammo, not relics. That wouldn't cause much damage. But on the other hand, they were already surrounded by monkeys. She immediately realizes that the scumbags had some way of controlling the monsters and tells them immediately they would have to face those creatures while she defends, and Shizuko slices. The leader knows that those guys will soon realize they don't stand a chance. Wow, bro. But that's when something starts to appear under her arm. The enemy leader gives an order, and at the same time, they all shoot, and some roots trap Jerry by the feet. Bro, she was immobilized for a second, and something hit her hand. Oh, damn. Her relic mark disappeared at the exact moment the monkey tries to jump and she tries to use magic. Obviously, nothing happens, but don't worry, the thick-thighed Ice Queen arrives, slicing. She asks her if she's okay. She thanks her for saving her life and tells everyone to start protecting their hands before their relics are eliminated. Another guy with a spear, bro, is trying to hold the line, but tells the leader he won't last much longer. The group starts to run, saying they'll have to regroup, but the guy with glasses in the rear says they're not getting away that easily. Bro throws a blast. I thought it was a fireball or something, but apparently it was more like a bazooka blast, and the guy says that with her relic cancelled, she's nothing more than a human. So there's no way she'll survive that. The shot is about to hit, which means, yep, bro, someone's about to activate a skill and jump in to block it. When she looks back, of course it was our boy who blocked it. Bro already activates his eye power and detects the presence of 15 shooters. He had to take care of it fast before the vengeance skill ran out. He punches the ground, which starts to explode, and kicks up smoke everywhere. Immediately, the enemy leader with no vision says they have no choice. They'd better all get ready. Sherry, hiding behind some rocks, thanks the boy and says he at least bought them some time. She asks why he's alone, and he explains that he used some skills to get ahead and arrive before the others. The only problem is that now he can't use that same skill again. The damned Shizuko then asks why he took such a risk. You'd wish he'd just tell her to shut up. But instead, he says it was leader Katsumata who ordered him to go on ahead, since he's the fastest. Sherry knows that guy wouldn't give an order like that unless he trusted the boy, which proves he must have improved. Even more since the last time she saw him. Finally, he asks why the hell she's complaining when they saved her. She hesitates a bit and says that's true, but she's still sure he's just going to get in the way in the end. Oh my god, I already miss Akane, bro. Sherry is watching this and thinks she's finally starting to understand. She then tells Shizuko not to say things like that. She couldn't use her relic and they needed someone like Hinata nearby to have an advantage. Our boy asks why she doesn't use the relic, and she explains the story behind the weapon. So he asks his system, he asks Nashi what's up, because the boss can't use her relic. She explains that he doesn't need to speak, just thinking is enough for her to know what he's imagining. And with that, she looks through the orb and says that she really can't feel any relic energy coming from that woman, her relic chest, which is something you develop when you touch a relic stone, was empty. And bro, her relic hadn't been deactivated. It had been stolen. There was no mana that could reactivate it unless she got it back. While Nanashi is impressed that humans managed to develop something like that, our boy is shocked. The guy with the green bandana wants to know what they're going to do and asks if anyone has a great idea. Sherry replies that for now, it's best for them to stay where they are and wait. Meanwhile, Katsumata is approaching the shooters from behind. An explosion goes off on the mountaintop, and apparently, the idiots were hit immediately. He gives the order to arrest them all, kill them all, and make them regret it. Sherry smiles and says she knew she could count on the sub-commander. She immediately tells everyone to protect the marks on their hands, because the enemies, they had some way to disable the relics. It's chaos everywhere. Fists are flying while Shizuko is just hiding there. Huh, bro. But she suddenly jumps in fright. When two of her comrades are almost split in two, the guys fall to the ground and Katsumata turns around, confused. Two air discs come flying at him and he has to defend his brother, while wondering why these guys have a skill that belonged to Cherry. Someone then says he's really living up to his name. They didn't expect him to withstand the attack of a 5-star relic. Bro, the guy is standing there blocking both discs, and just then Cherry recognizes him. For her, however, that was impossible. He shouldn't be with those two. That's when Katsumata comments that they're doing more than just sealing relics. Trez, the guy with glasses, replies that even if he is the vice commander, there's no way to block an attack like that. Many more discs come flying, but Katsumata says he's not just going to stand still. He dodges everything, gets close to the guy, but just as the sword is about to strike, another guy jumps in front and blocks it. When our boy sees that shield, however, he seems to know who it belongs to. The bandit bro pulls out a gun and says this is the end of the road. The guy has to block a bullet with his sword, and my god, I've never seen a hunter take such a nasty beating from a gun. Katsumata falls onto the redhead's shoulder, already apologizing, bro, saying he let her down. Meanwhile, everyone is staring at that shield skill, bro. Oh, damn, both Shizuku and our boy are staring because, girl, that's his father's relic. Wow, now this fight just leveled up, bro. The guy comes aiming a Glock. Bro, I still can't believe there are so many guns in this series. He tells the two of them not to resist, that it will be better for them. Katsumata says that to be stealing relics like that, they must be mentally unstable, to which the guy replies that it's only natural for someone to want a powerful relic. After all, it was much more valuable than any gem they could find here. A long time ago, their group started to wonder what would happen to a relic if its owner died. Some thought they would go dormant or disappear along with the owner, but they discovered a way to bring them back, and in that way, people who possessed powerful relics became more valuable than any gem. Out of nowhere, Shizuku is all worried, telling Hinata not to get near that thing. Cherry says she's never heard of anything like that, and apparently, the fact that they're there makes it clear they were after her relic. The guy replies that it's a shame that even an S-rank guild ends up losing when it falls into an ambush. While he's giving his speech, Hinata starts to get closer, and the guy says it was their own fault for being so unprepared. Our boy is already surrounded, and the guy says he doesn't stand a chance because the relic he possesses is one of the most powerful. Looking at our boy, he asks if he isn't that student from Valkyrie. It seems today wasn't his lucky day. The guy starts a little speech, but Hinata interrupts him and mentions the shield relic that they're using, asking where they got it from. The guy with the glasses says he's not obligated to answer, but if he had to guess, it came from some corpse, from which they immediately extracted the relic. Hinata calls him a bastard, then crouches and charges forward while activating concentration. The ability reduces his perception of time to 1/10. Everything feels a little slower. The first shot comes, but he just moves aside. Cherry is out of breath and dodges, but she knows she's going to get hit by the second one, but here comes our boy, backing away and getting out unharmed. She notices, however, that she wasn't strong enough yet. The boy's reaction time was impressive. That suit of his probably enhanced his reflexes. A shame that still didn't change anything in the blink of an eye. He's already about to throw a punch, saying everyone has a weak spot and, bro, I thought our boy was going to dodge. But he gets hit in the forehead with a rock. What the heck? The boy goes rolling away like trash and tries to get up, and another attack is already coming that explodes into smoke everywhere. Katsumata jumps in surprise and immediately charges at the enemies. The guy, however, easily blocks him with Cherry's relic, saying that as long as he has it, it's impossible for Hinata to win. Out of nowhere, some guys pop up from the ground like armadillos behind him. Finally, the Valkyrie students start doing something. That blonde kid over there looks like he has all the attitude, but the bastard isn't doing anything. At least he started throwing a few light punches, and the girl with the thick blue thighs even tells him not to worry, that they've got his back. But while they're in the middle of the fight, there are some guys on the mountain, and another weirdo behind a rock. It's Subaru totally freaking out, saying he's not getting into that. Not even with 9 lives would he make it out of there alive, even though he's from the Dora Guild. He sees no possibility of them getting out alive, and bro, the Class A people are just watching with their arms crossed, and even the deep web girl hasn't done anything with the bears yet. Where's the monkey you created, girl? The blondie is over there with the invisible knives. When Katsumata yells at him to be careful, but it's already too late and our sweet, cold girl comes in to block. Too bad she's not that strong, she takes a hit to the shoulder anyway. The guy who stole the relic says that it's incredible. Just one of those was already extremely dangerous, and to think that Cherry controlled 4 at a time. Then, Katsumata tells them that they need to understand they live in an era where humanity has to unite to defend the world. So, why do you choose to act like this? The guy replies that no matter how good or difficult the times are, humans are greedy beings, and they were simply trying to steal for that very same reason. There's no deep motive or anything, and not only that, but if you look at it in a positive light, what they're studying makes perfect sense. If the research were to advance, they could extract relics from any corpse that way, regardless of who died in battle. They could keep on collecting better relics. Suddenly, Hinata says that doesn't justify what they're doing. He's alive right now, thanks to the very same people that they claim are worthless and disposable. That idea that it doesn't matter who fights was absurd. If he can still fight today, it's because he carries a promise that was passed on to him. With that, the boy's determination and courage trigger a response in the suit, and it's time to see the new outfit. He unlocks the Valiant suit, it comes with an upgrade, and now the boy looks like Sonic crossed with Speedo Sound Sonic from One Punch Man, the one who took a shot to the nuts, the enemies who, they're definitely not friends. Everyone is shocked. The guy is stepping on lightning. And the guy with glasses is confused. Suddenly, the kid's relic felt stronger, but at the same time he says, it doesn't matter. That won't change anything. He tells our boy that if he stays still, he'll die a painless death. So why doesn't he just comply? And Hinata, however, replies that he's more afraid of becoming someone who would surrender to someone like him. He disappears in a flash and gives him a flying kick to the back of the neck. Bro, the suit says it only reaches new heights when he's full of determination. The guy stumbles back, but he turns and says the kid shouldn't think he's gonna win. He launches more attacks. It looked like it was going to hit, but our boy disappears again, appearing behind him once more. This time he lands a punch straight to the chin. The guy goes flying to the other side. When he looks back, where's the kid? Vanished, bro. Now the kid only appears from behind, another punch is charged up, and one more to the chest sends him flying into the rocks. The guy looked like he was about to pass out, and everyone was like stunned. Cherry tries to figure out if he had been hiding his powers all this time. Suddenly, someone says that this isn't over yet. The enemies are aiming at our boy, but they're already shaking. Hinata activates acceleration, which burns energy to go faster. He starts dodging everything and is already face to face with another guy, and boom, one more is slammed against the rocks. Subaru, the coward, is watching bro. How embarrassing, right? He was the one who told the kid he didn't belong in the room, that he was a disgrace and that he came from Class E. Now he's there leaning against a rock, saying he can't believe what he's seeing. How could the kid who came from Class E be stronger than him? And what had he been doing all this time? Now, watching our boy, he's wondering if Subaru himself, really deserves to be in Class B. Out of nowhere, now he's all red in the face, saying that Hinata really is the man. The rest of the group charges at the shooters. Man, now I hear an explosion. Subaru, suddenly brave, goes charging towards the enemies. Man, saying that from now on he's not going to back down anymore. Dude, he's going to catch up to Hinata. Katsumata keeps attacking the guy with the relic of the shield while telling everyone to take advantage. Since they no longer have the teacher's relic, with that the fight breaks out, right bro? While the two fools are just hiding, doing nothing, our boy is shining, going around, beating everyone up, while the guy with the green bandana just watches. A while later, Katsumata wipes his sweat, asking if it's finally over. Subaru wants to know if those cheap-looking handcuffs will be enough to hold those guys. Shizuku explains that they are fury suppression handcuffs. They were strong enough to stop even awakened people, so guys like these would be easy. She even tells Subaru to start studying more before thinking about getting strong. Sherry is very calm, saying that the situation is under control. Girl, aren't you worried you lost your relic or what? Katsumata says it's all thanks to our boy, but unfortunately it's true. He's over there passed out after solving everything, bro. He was drooling, completely exhausted. What's that? My boy is drained. It ended like this because the brave suit is too strong and consumes 1 HP every time it's used until he has a higher attribute. If Subaru hadn't jumped in to help, he might not have made it out alive. He clearly can't keep using that suit until he's sure his stats are high enough. When he opens his eyes, guess who comes to offer him a hand? The brat with the thick, blue thighs. I told you so, didn't I, guys? As soon as our boy got strong, she showed up all interested. Then she asks him if he really thought he had a chance of winning. He just gets up and says no, that he acted without thinking. Of course, the brat hears that and leaves, saying that proves her point, he should leave the academy. I only tolerate this girl because Hinata doesn't seem to care at all. It's just one-sided drama. Subaru asks what her problem is, and Hinata just says she's always like that. Then Subaru calls our boy and apologizes, saying that he clearly deserves more than Class B, and that the one who didn't belong there was him, right? He wants our boy to forgive him for being a bad person who misjudged him. Once again, Hinata doesn't care. He just says, it's fine, whatever. He gets it. The guy was just mad because they ended up in the same class. Subaru kind of accepts it, and our boy says he understands. He worked hard to be there. So when someone he thought didn't deserve it got in, he ended up getting upset. Subaru is emotional, but our boy just says that he never cared at all about what Subaru did. It's then that the guy awkwardly grabs him, while Cherry tells the man to give her relic back. She's sure that if he could take it from her, he can give it back. The guy with glasses is about to say that's not possible, when suddenly a green-haired guy appears and says, yes, it is possible. The guy calls him boss, but apparently the green-haired man just twists his head, bro. Everyone is terrified. The guy turns and says that, however, he didn't plan on giving it back to her. Sherry asks who he is and why he killed someone from his family, his own group. But suddenly they feel a pressure around them and start to tremble. No one could even move their own body. And the guy says not to panic, he doesn't kill people without a specific reason. That guy he killed was simply because he acted without his permission. The plan was to catch him and then return, but they succeeded and didn't come back. Ignoring his orders and using power like that, that's why they died. Then he picks up a stone purple and says they were nothing but traitors to this place. Immediately, Katsumata is sure that this strange purple cube must have the relic inside. The problem was that his body was paralyzed. The guy then says they should have thought better before relaxing, believing the fight was over. It's at the moment you think you've won that you are most exposed to a counterattack. Ah! They had a needle in their shadow. That's why they couldn't move. The guy tells them to relax. They'll be able to move again soon. Some of the group enter the shadow and say that things became much easier in this situation. But then, he suddenly says he almost forgot and is going to take Katsumata's relic too. But bro, in that very instant, Hinata is already by his side, saying that Cherry's relic wasn't going with him. The punch is about to hit the guy's chin, and he wonders how that kid was even able to move. That's when he realizes the brat had dodged the needle in the shadow. Still, he disappears right in front of our boy, who looks around wondering where he went. But the scumbag appears behind him, coming out of a veil of shadows to strike him. But bro, our boy now just comes from behind and is about to throw another flying kick. The guy is all worked up while defending himself, right? Here comes another Hisoka-style move. But he defends with the hand that was holding the cubes, and that sends both cubes flying. They both lunge forward, each grabbing a cube, and everyone starts yelling at them. Katsumata attacks with a sword slash, and the green-haired guy says things didn't end up the way he wanted. He dodges and retreats, saying that for now he'll have to leave. Katsumata yells for him to wait, but he just looks at our boy and says he will definitely remember him. With that, the shadow sinks into the ground, while everyone is furious because the bastard disappeared right in front of them. The guy with the bandana watches, realizing that the enemies got exactly what they came for. The blonde guy starts to thank our boy, saying they couldn't do anything, even though he saved everyone, but our boy just passes out on top of some random trash on the ground, and Cherry immediately realizes he went beyond his limits. This made her understand that he wasn't the type to hide his strength in a desperate situation, which means that when he got here, he didn't have that blue ability. Somehow he evolved during the battle. Maybe that was the true nature of his relic. But there's one thing she won't deny. She was interested in the boy named Hinata. Back at the monster department, In one of those meetings of the Alliance, apparently Cherry had just finished reporting everything that happened there. Kuriha comments that she had never heard of this relic stealing thing, while Renpei says they will definitely need to find a way to counter something like that, and Cherry comments that it seems simple enough. All they need is something to cover each person's hand. That way it seems the enemies can't absorb anything. Okay. Then she comments that since she mentioned someone who uses shadows, only one person came to mind, an S-rank criminal guild known as Nilfheim. Apparently, their leader had the ability to manipulate shadows. Renpei says it's a shame. The world is already full of problems, and now another one like this shows up. Meanwhile, Nada, not suspicious at all, asks what Jerry's going to do without her relic. She wasn't even really one of them anymore. Bro, nothing suspicious about this guy. See, even Ogai tells him he's going too far, but the humble Jerry says that he's actually right. The relic they recovered wasn't hers. So from now on, Katsunada himself would take over her position in that place. Kureha wants to know what she plans to do from now on. Bro, she just says she's going to retire because there's something else she wants to do. I've never seen such a calm woman. They stole her S-rank relic, and she's like, they stole it. I'm done with dungeons. I'm going to do other things. You know? The only thing she says is that she needs to talk to Atsushi first. Yeah, she wants to ask him a favor, right? She's probably going to want to be a teacher at Balki, but bro, I'm still shocked that this woman isn't phased. She's the definition of stoic. And of course, right, back at the school, everyone's jaws are on the floor, a new instructor was being introduced, and there she is, all casual. I'd say she even looks more charming now. She introduces herself as the former leader of the Dora Guild and says, "It's a pleasure to meet you all." Everyone is stunned, especially looking at our boy, but he doesn't seem too thrilled about it. 2 days after the relic theft, our boy's in his room looking at a bunch of crystals. Apparently, that was his reward for his performance back there. The problem is, he's thinking that maybe this is even too much. Nanashi wants to know what he's thinking so hard about sitting there. He says that instead of absorbing it all, maybe he should sell them, get some money, and pay the hospital bills. She tells him not to overthink it, to just absorb what he can, because he wouldn't even be able to use it all anyway. She tells him to absorb the golden one, but when he tries, the system says it's not possible. He would first have to defeat an earth lizard. Right away, our boy realizes there are no shortcuts, you can't just buy stones and get stronger. So she explains that he has to understand that early on, to reach this suit's maximum potential, he needs to have unwavering willpower and discipline. He can't forget the feeling that activated that suit when he launched himself head-on against a formidable enemy without hesitation. Our boy is there, thinking about the list he received when he awakened that suit. He knows his suit drastically improves agility, which means that if it hadn't activated, that green-haired guy would have definitely killed him. Considering all that, he knows it's no time to worry about money. In that very second, he starts absorbing all the stones. With 10 from a cannibal monkey, a requirement is met, increasing shield mastery, impact resistance, and a little of each stat. On top of that, he had now awakened the necessary stats to equip the rage suit. Now, I'm not sure if it's a new suit or if it's like the red one he already had, but now he can use it freely. Who knows? All I know is that the next day, the cute red-haired teacher shows up in his classroom. Right, bro, everyone thought she'd be the teacher for Class A, but nope. She's in Class B, and the principal tells everyone to welcome her. Subaru is nervous, wondering how she's already here. It's only been 3 days since they left that portal. The principal tells her to take it easy, to observe the class until she gets settled, but she just walks over, bro, goes to the back and stops there. Without another word, she just keeps staring at our boy, and everyone's wondering why. He's trying to figure out if it's because he saved the wrong cube, and now she's mad at him. After the dungeon, the relic he managed to save was her father's. He asked to keep it, saying it belonged to someone important to him. They apologized, but unfortunately, it was a very important piece of evidence. But being all sweet, she smiled, saying they would take very good care of it. Now he's in class, wondering what's going on. Why is she looking at me like that? He couldn't concentrate in class with a demon on his back. A little later, during the break, Akane and the blonde guy are eating when he calls out to her. She already gets all flustered. That girl, right, bro? Isn't all there either. And Chloe asks her for her opinion on that guy, Hinata from Class B. She thinks for a moment and says that she thinks his outfit is kind of ridiculous, but obviously he's a badass, right? He's trying to find out about his powers, not his looks. What he wants to know is who would win in a fight, him or Hinata. Of course, the girl says he would win easily with both hands tied behind his back. Chloe asks that, but he's all insecure remembering the fight with our boy. His punches might not have hurt that much, but he was really fast. Suddenly, Kaido comes over and asks why he's so curious. He could just fight the guy and find out for himself. Besides, someone he thinks is perfect for doing something like that was about to show up. Chloe says, "Looks like he knows." The exam with a certain military academy was approaching. Bro, this place is full of stuff, huh? There's always some event going on. Now in the hallways, look who's coming, bro. Akane, who looks skinnier now. What happened? Did the artist run out of energy? And now Subaru is stuck to our boy saying how amazing he is, that they should have seen how he fought. Akane sits down, finding this whole friendship weird, while Subaru smiles, saying they're childhood friends. Now he's also part of the group that Hinata is in. Sachi, however, already chimes in, saying she's not going to be part of that mess. She barely knows Subaru and he's already acting like he's part of the group. Hinata ignores the drama and asks Akane how her training went, to which she replies that it was just Sachi putting on a show. At that moment, she senses someone's presence at the door and asks if they know those weirdos over there. I think the drawing got it wrong, because those guys were supposed to be outside watching, but they're outside and the girls are also outside. What's going on here? Subaru comments that, curiously, those guys don't seem to be looking at Hinata like that woman did in the morning. Then the two of them enter the classroom, saying that since they were noticed, there was no point in hiding anymore. Sachi comments that it's a guy named Vi, one of the strongest students from Class A. He approaches our boy and asks if he's Hinata, and says he should join the research team for mana equipment. There he could design any equipment he wanted within the academy. The girl with the hat is hyping it up, right? Saying it's amazing. She turns towards our boy and says that since he arrived at this place, his combat power went from 3 to 3 million. Clearly, these two aren't all there, and are putting on a show to convince the guy. Akane is a bit confused, and Subaru comments that it's too late for someone to come recruiting, they should have recruited earlier, or Hinata is about to apologize and say he's not interested, when suddenly Sherry comes in, saying he shouldn't make a decision like that so quickly. He should first take a look at the group before deciding she's sure he'll be valuable to them. Everyone is a bit confused, and Subaru is obviously not even remotely interested in that. After class, Bieber welcomes everyone, and as expected, it's true, it's a mana equipment lab, but our boy asks if they are the only members, and the guy says yes. He introduces himself, and the girl with the hat says her name is Majo, and that's Shikori from Class C. They had another member named Shuja again, but yeah, bro, he's gone now. Our boy knows him, right? That guy has been put to rest. Bieber comments that, as you know, their school is kind of military style, so sports and things like clubs practically don't exist. And the few clubs that do exist are 100% focused on sports or combat. The only club that remotely resembles a cultural one is this one. Subaru comments that if someone wants to live a normal life, they probably shouldn't even be in this school. The two of them get a bit discouraged and agree, saying that's why they didn't even have an advisor. Our boy says, right, that means your club isn't not even official. Mao, crying, says they had one until the middle of last year, but they lost him. With a lot of effort and persistence, they had managed to keep the club going, but things weren't looking good. And that was because Tsushima made it clear that they couldn't continue with a club of just 2 members. It was a waste of the school's resources. Akane, she knows that's why they went after Cherry as soon as he arrived. Oh, suddenly she says it's because there's something she needs. She shows him that skill cube and explains that mana equipment are tools that receive mana energy from the stones. Incredibly, some of these tools were strong enough to defeat otherworldly creatures. The problem is that they were rarely used in actual combat, since everyone preferred to use relics. Most of the equipment created nowadays was weaker than a 1-star relic. In other words, worse than our boy when he was the deep web Saitama. But by showing the cube, she believes that seeing it might mean they need new perspectives on how to use that type of item, the kind of equipment capable of utilizing a relic that was stolen. This was information that hadn't been made public yet, but something had to be done to stop those people, and at the same time, it would show that these tools had an unknown potential. The goal was that in the future, when monsters attack, relics wouldn't be the only way to face them. Mana equipment would also be essential. Bieber, however, says that's not all. The equipment also had a certain charm, and the piece that represented that perfection, was a combat suit that ran on stone energy. The only problem was that it consumed energy so fast it couldn't be used in combat. But if it were refined, maybe they could make it work. Akane wants to know what his goal with it is, and he replies that it's to create a super robot. Strangely, our boy and Subaru get incredibly excited. Even Sachi seems interested, and now everyone is chatting about the topic. Cherry turns to our boy and tells him not to focus too much on the robot, but that she personally believed it would be a good thing for him. On top of that, she wants to personally help him get stronger and unlock the full potential of his suit. At that moment, he realizes that the cursed woman had already figured out how his power works, and she comments that if they could find a way to reverse the effect of that cube, she could join their team with the excuse of it being research material. Akane asks why our boy doesn't give it a shot. He had to remember that the Academy Festival was coming up. It seemed like there would be some kind of group competition, and having his own club would give him an advantage. After all, he was the one who said he wanted to take every opportunity to prove his worth. Hinata, as usual, goes into reflective mode, knowing this was a chance to prove himself, that he's okay, or that they can count on him from now on. Next scene, there he is inside the portal, the one generated by Nanashi, another creature defeated, and he keeps walking through the corridors. As always, he's reached this part tired, but without much difficulty. The real problem were those two creatures in the room, the head horsehead and the bullhead. Both of them snort. The boy clenches his fist and charges in to land the first blow. One hits the chest, but as always, it deals no damage. 2. The horse tries to catch him, but in mid-air he teleports behind it and is already on its back, activating vengeance along with the Fist of Anger. But once again, nothing happens. The horse laughs, and now the bull comes charging to attack with an upward axe swing, and it looks like he got sliced. Bro! He appears back in the room, realizing he still doesn't have enough offensive power to face the two of them, not to mention that he can't keep dodging for long, since the brave suit consumes his energy too quickly. 3. He feels a bit discouraged, and Nanashi comments that things don't seem to be going well for him. He says he thought he was finally starting to make progress, but apparently he still has a long way to go. But it's okay, she'll tell him exactly what he needs. Obviously at this point, what he needs is some kind of finishing move. He asks what she means by that, and she explains that with the new powers he has gained, most enemies should be easily defeated. However, that only applied to creatures he could actually damage, or against highly durable and resistant monsters. He was as powerless as ever. No matter how fast he is or how much he dodges, if his hits don't deal damage, there's no way to win. You want to know what the strategy should be? Should he go back to hunting? Maybe gather points and upgrade his skills, put everything into strength? Maybe learn something powerful? Or he just has no idea what to do? She says he's looking at things the wrong way. No matter what skill he acquires, they are all just extensions of the power granted by his relic. The real difference is in how he applies that energy. She tells him to remember Shizuku. She says that girl is arrogant, but she understood how to maximize the power of her relic. What she could do was infuse energy into any object, but she didn't stop there. With that energy imbued in her sword, she could create projectiles and turn it into a kind of long-range weapon. It was the perfect example, the effect of how to turn the unique trait of a relic into a completely different type of move. He needed to do something similar, but using the cards he already had on the table. The next day, our boy is in class, still thinking about everything she said. Looking at his skills, he knew it was something beyond just activating one of them. Subaru seems to get tired of the silence and asks why he looks so serious. He replies that he's trying to think of a super attack. Just then, Tsushima opens the door and comes in with Cherry, announcing that they need to start preparing because the exchange festival with the military academy will be held at the end of the month. Good morning! Officially, it was just a simple event for each school to observe the progress of the others. But on the other hand, that was just how they presented it. The truth was that it was just a normal festival and he wants everyone to simply enjoy it. I thought he was going to say it was some kind of life or death event, be careful, but no, he just said it's normal. Everything would take place in the Spear Dome, which is where the rank portals are. Subaru asks if they're just a bunch of monkeys performing for others to watch. The professor says that's the price they have to pay for the funding that the academy receives from government resources. Hinata then asks how other schools evaluate student performance. The guy tells Cherry to explain, and she says that during the exam there will be two types of combat, individual and team-based. In a group, any student can participate in the individual matches, but for the group matches, you obviously need a specific number of people. Oh, and not only that, you also have to be part of a group. Subaru wants to know what the difference in the rules is, and she says that most are pretty similar. It's just that this year, there will be some kind of special rule that hasn't been revealed yet. Some fool asks if it's dangerous, and the woman replies that there's danger everywhere. That's just how the world of hunters is. Not to mention they didn't have to worry, since there would be S-rank doctors on standby to save anyone. Back at the club after school, Vivi is celebrating, saying they'll finally have the chance to show their power to the world. Akane wants to know if they're already planning things and what exactly they're going to do with that stone. Bieber explains that in this competition, each student is allowed to use whatever equipment they want, and if they start developing some mana tools now, they'll definitely have the best ones on the day. Bro, now that I think about it, this is turning into a bunch of filler, right? Let's get out of here. And a little later, the robot Tito prepared some food. They chatted, said a few things. Akane made another joke and cracked her knuckles. Now we're outside with Akane, asking our guy why he's been down lately. Just as he's about to answer, he hears someone shouting up ahead, saying the other girl is taking too long. There's a short blonde girl over there scolding the current waifu. Oh, it looks like they're not from his school, bro. Yeah, you can tell by the uniforms, right? Another guy asks why she even signed up for this festival if she doesn't stand a chance. Another one walks by, saying he's leaving early. Meanwhile, Android 18 tells her to get up. They don't have all day. The long-haired guy is furious as the girl apologizes. Man, I thought our guy was going to swoop in and save her like a superhero, but instead, he just punches her in the stomach. Even our guy flinched at that, and they don't even seem to care. 18 says kicking her was a bit much, but the guy just grabs her by her braid. He asks how the hell she plans to fix this whole mess. After screwing it up, she shouldn't have even entered this event, being a pathetic D-class. 18 says he's taking it too far, but she was the one who made the girl trip and spill everything, and the long-haired guy wants to know if she's really not going to give up. She doesn't say anything, just throws the papers on the ground and says she's truly desperate. He goes for another kick, but then Hinata shows up and throws the papers in his face. Bro, the blonde girl is surprised, while the guy asks who the hell he is. The waifu, on the other hand, is already totally in love with our shining boy. Our boy stands there, defending her. While the guy asks who he thinks he is to interfere, he charges to hit him, but our boy calmly stops him, effortlessly, and says he's a friend of the girl he just kicked. And it looks like he is, bro, because the guy is trembling and our boy tells him to apologize to Rina right now. The loser doesn't want to give in, but he's already realized the guy is too strong. Rina asks our boy to calm down and thanks him, saying it's fine, that it was their problem, not his. So the guy lets him go. She goes to pick up the papers, hands them over, and tells them they can go on without her. The guy roughly pushes her arm away and says that this isn't going to end here. The others ask if she's really going to let it go, just like that. She replies that it's fine. She doesn't want to lose points over something so trivial. Hinata is confused, asking what point she's talking about. And the wide-eyed girl is already blushing, saying that, as always, he has a strong sense of justice. Look who's jealous, huh? Akane just watches the two of them chatting about him joining Valkyria. She butts in, asking how long they've known each other. Our boy explains that he's known Rin since childhood, just like Shizuku. Akane asks if she knows her, and right away, Rin doesn't seem happy hearing Shizuku's name. She says that knowing she's one of the strongest in Valkyria just proves she's still trying to be the best, even though she was trash. Then she turns around, saying she's leaving, but says she hopes to see Hinata at the festival. Later, at the club, the teacher finds out about the fight. She asks if our boy landed a clean hit on each of them and took them all down. Weber comments that, based on their uniforms, they must be from the Odin Military Academy, one of the few places that still uses a point-based ranking system, which is a bit outdated. There wasn't much mystery to it, right, bro? The more points you had, the higher you were on the pyramid and the better your classes and lessons were. The idea was that keeping students in that kind of system would make them constantly compete and improve. And the truth is, Odin did have a lot of talented students compared to other schools. The problem was that with the way they did things, they didn't encourage teamwork at all. Man, in the dungeons where Dora sometimes brought members from Odin, the guys would see their teammates getting crushed and do nothing. He even remembers a certain person who took every opportunity to step on others. Weber says it's not like they don't use a point system here too. He thinks this school probably has just as many bad people as Odin. Then he asks our boy if that friend he mentioned is part of the committee, and he says yes. So Weber says to expect some very serious competition because Odin students will do anything to earn points. The club members are all fired up, saying they're not going to back down because if they do well in this competition, they'll receive more funding to grow the club. Hinata, however, wonders if it's really going to be that hard to beat those guys. Meanwhile, Rin was walking down the hall and ends up about to cross paths with Shizuku. One was walking towards the other. They give each other that look and just walk past. Rin turns around and calls Shizuku a murderer who isn't fazed in the slightest and just notices the uniform, realizing that she's now in Odin. Maybe that's a good thing. She'll finally have another chance to prove she was right. So, she enters the classroom to meet up with the rest of the people from her academy, and the long-haired guy immediately asks if she really thinks he's gonna let that humiliation slide. All right then, she should say who that guy was and where she knows him from. She completely ignores him, just asking if the meeting has started yet or not. The furious guy tries to hit her from behind, but this time she ducks, and bro, she lands a punch on his chin that leaves him. All twisted up, she wipes her hand and says, "That was for that shield from before, bro. Poor guy, he just collapses right there." I don't really know what happened, now I'm confused. 18 is trembling, right? I don't understand why Rin took a beating before, so girl, why didn't you just fight back then instead of needing to be rescued? Well, okay, that makes sense. The guy in front asks if she's finally done pretending, as if she, who dodged most of the attacks, was really going to trip and drop some papers. It seems she was just pretending to be weak and clumsy, and bro, I thought that wasn't the case. But she says that's exactly what it was. She says that right at that moment, someone she hadn't seen in a long time appeared in front of her. The guy says it's not a good move to deceive others like that. But the troublemaker just says, isn't it normal to want to look vulnerable in front of someone you like? And now she's impressed. Hinata was much stronger than she expected. That girl is crazy, bro. No, none of them are right in the head. Akane is the only normal one. 18 is all confused, asking why she's so strong if she's in Class D. And the black-haired guy explains that she transferred in the middle of the year, she just started earning points now. That's why she's still in such a low ranking. But her name is Rin Sakamini, and she'd appreciate it if you liked this video to help Mazo. Continue bringing this type of quality content to you guys. What did you think of this story, guys? I hope you liked it and see you in the next video. Take care, bros.